It's so bad. Yeah.
We look good, y'all. We look good. We started right now. All right, we ready, y'all. Hey, you guys, what's going on? It's your girl Fee, a Little Messy podcast on Digital Boombox Network. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Y'all already know we've been telling y'all all about it. We have the dope and amazing, our future mayor. Yes, I said that.
Hey,
our
you're
future
right.
mayor, Justin
Love it.
Hurst in the building.
Speaking into existence. Speaking into existence.
Yes. And you know we got our homie Chels the Great.
You're
That's our homie. He's gonna be, you guys know he's gonna be filling in. It's gonna be either Chels or it's gonna be Calvin. That's gonna be co-hosted with me.
We in
So
the
you know what I
building.
mean? You guys stay tuned. We're gonna be doing some great stuff, and we're so glad you guys are here today. So thank you so much for joining us. So I guess we'll get right into it, right? Should we just get right into
Let's
it?
do it.
Let's get right into it. All right. So we got Justin here today.
Yes.
Justin, okay, you know what? Let's take for the top. Tell the people who you are. Tell them all about you.
Yes.
Like just give the people information on you that don't know who you are. Not like us. We know everything.
Got it.
People that don't know who you are.
So Justin Hurst, I was born and raised in the city of Springfield, went to the Springfield Public Schools, graduated from Springfield Central High School. Upon graduation, I went to the University of Virginia.
Nice.
After the University of Virginia, I was like, I needed to do something outside of having a bachelor's degree. So I
Right.
applied to law school.
Right.
Only law school I got accepted into was Western New England College. So I was like,
Right.
you know what? It's
Go
a
for
good
it.
opportunity to come home, give back to the community that had given so much to me.
Right.
So I went to law school at night, and then I was a full-time teacher and taught high school English for probably at least 10 years. Passed the bar exam in 2006 and, was just indulged in my teaching career. So I didn't practice law and then just wanted to impact more people. And so in 2011, I ran for city council. Actually, I ran for an at-large seat on the city council. So we
Right.
have 5 city council at-large seats. And so I finished in 6, ran again in 2013, ended up doing extremely well. A lot of people would probably attribute that to my wife, who's on the school committee, and we ran at the same time. And so
Really?
when we ran at the same time, obviously, anybody who knows my wife knows she's going to give me a little bump. So that bump carried me to the top. So
Yeah.
I've been on the city council for the last 10 years, just trying to make a difference in the lives of working people here in the city of Springfield. And, just trying to have an impact on our community and really save our community.
Yes.
We're dealing in a society here in Springfield that, folks are looking out for the other people in power.
Yes.
And, we want a government that is more inclusive, a government that
Yes.
looks out for all of us and includes all of us. And
Mhm.
so, it came to a point where it was like, how do I really impact the lives and residents of the city of Springfield? And it was just time,
Yes.
So when I say it's our time,
Yes.
it is our
Yes.
time,
Yes,
to make
definitely.
a difference. So that's a short synopsis. I'm sure we'll
Yes.
talk about it a little bit more as we go on.
Mhm.
Right,
Yes,
okay.
definitely. Oh, thank you so much for that brief,
So-
introduction.
So you're really a lawyer, though.
So I definitely am licensed to practice law. I like to say, I never practice, but at the same time, my mind thinks like an attorney.
Okay,
I'm always going to see both sides of an issue.
Right.
I'm always going to be very thoughtful in what it is that I do.
Facts.
I'm always going to make sure that I'm researching what it is that, I'm talking
Yes.
about. And I'm just going to be tight in terms of my delivery and,
Right.
how it is that we affect change. So
Now, was that a defense attorney or?
so I could have practiced anything.
Yeah, okay,
I could have
gotcha.
practiced anything. To be
Yeah,
honest
yeah.
with you, I was going to law school at night. And so
Yeah.
when you go into law school at night, anybody that has gone to law school knows that just law school in general is like pledging. And anybody who has pledged understands it takes all of your time.
Yeah.
And so then I was my first year teaching and then my first year in law school. And it was like, I lost the love.
Yeah.
So at that point in time, I was like, listen, just let me get through and let me pass the bar.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm done with it. But at the same time, that training just
Yes.
lives on.
Yes.
I'm gonna always
Yes.
apply that in everything I do.
Yes. So when now we all know Justin. Charles is from New York, so he's just getting to know Justin, which is great because he's a resident of Springfield now.
Yes.
So he needs to get to know all the political people. So this is great that he's here today.
Yeah.
So Justin, just tell us, like, when did you decide that you wanted to run for mayor?
So I knew for a while. I mean, I just was frustrated with the system.
Yeah.
And so I've been a constant critic of the mayor and just highlighted, a lot of the wrongs that I felt was going on. I mean, I've never been afraid to speak my mind. And sometimes, when you're constantly speaking up, you have to really ask yourself, well, you know what? If you're going to come that I thought was necessary in the city of Springfield. And so, I said to myself, you gotta make some hard decisions.
Yeah.
And so one of those hard decisions was, are you going to sit here and continue to criticize and the mayor still not do what it is that you're asking him to do?
Yes.
He's still not seeing the fact that you're leaving out an entire group of people here in the city of Springfield. And so, at the end of the day, it was like, okay, well, you got to run. If not, if you're going to criticize and he's still not going to make the changes, well, then you got to do something else. And so that something else was running for mayor of Springfield. So I knew for a while, at least the last year and a half, that was really the trajectory.
Now, did you feel pressure? Because I feel like, listen, y'all know everybody in the community, me too, everybody included, we were all like, Justin needs to run for mayor. We was all angry, y'all. We was in a happy way, though. We was all angry, like, he needs to run for mayor. Did you feel pressured by your community members to run for mayor? Or you was like, you know what? I'm going to do it because I feel it. But did you feel pressure from all of us at the same time? Or?
I mean, listen, you always feel pressure.
Yeah.
But it's really what you do with that pressure, right? And so you could really turn it into good energy and, get folks really behind you and appreciate the fact that folks like your work enough to say, I want you to have that top seat. Now we just got to get those same folks that like that work and were pushing me to run to in turn have that same energy.
Y'all that was yapping. Justin need to run. Run. He running. So we better see y'all at the poll.
Absolutely.
We better see y'all at the poll.
That's the only way we're gonna win.
Yes.
Without a doubt.
Yes, because we need all of y'all to make sure y'all vote.
So I say, how long you say you was a teacher?
So I was a teacher for probably about 7 years, and then I was the administrator of a reading grant for 3 years, addressing adolescent literacy at the high school level.
Okay. So
wow.
So I love that was by far just a labor of love. I mean, I say to myself, when it's all said and done, if everything doesn't go according to plan, what would I want to do? And to be honest with you, I would want to be back into the classroom, impacting young minds again. I mean, that was one of the best times of my young career. And I was just at Martin Luther King Charter School today, talking about social justice with their young people, and I ran into one of my students who I had. Who I had in high school, and it was just like, it was so rewarding just to see her. And then now she sees me, elevating to another stage. And it's like, I hope she, looks at that and says, you know what, I can do more and I can do more. I mean, I was looking at her like, wow, you're working here now. You did big things. And, that's the expectation. So, teaching was it was one of the best jobs I could ever ask for.
Very, very rewarding.
And I appreciate you teaching our, being in front of our young people. We know we need more folks of color that are in the presence of our young people in our public schools, without a doubt.
Just more men in general. But,
I was about to say men of color. It's even a taller task, without a doubt. So it leaves an imprint on our young people.
Definitely, because you definitely need that male positive influence on young boys and young women that's in there, and I'm saying in school too. So they need to see that positive male black, what I'm saying, man walking, you know what I'm saying,
without a doubt.
Because some of them might not even see it at home, so they see it at school. You know what I'm saying? They can at least see something positive at school, like in a male form.
For sure.
Yes, definitely. So yes, Justin, thank you so much. So now, We were talking earlier about children and
I forgot to
everything.
mention my children.
Yes,
right?
yes. Tell us about your children. Yes, tell us about
So
your
I
children.
have a 6-year-old Jackson, and Jackson goes to Harena Elementary School.
Okay.
And then I have an 11-year-old Justin Jr.
Mhm.
who goes to Chestnut Middle School at TAG,
Okay.
Talented and Gifted
Oh,
Program.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, so he's they're both involved in sports. They're really, I learn a lot from them,
Yeah.
and if anybody listened to my kickoff, they really were the ones that inspired
Yeah.
exactly how I govern. And you would never know how much of an impact young people can have if they
Yes.
just believe in themselves
Oh,
and then
so true.
exercise their voice. I learned so much from my kids every day, as difficult
Kids
as
are
it
too
is
much.
sometimes, but they really gave me,
Yeah.
a lot of my platform in terms of how, we need to govern in the city of Springfield.
Yeah.
So you have to understand, you can't underestimate the power of our
That's
young
right.
people and
That's
what
right.
they contribute.
That's the
Yes.
youth, man. You
Yeah,
gotta
that's-
listen
Yeah,
to the
especially
youth.
That's
in this
real.
day and age too.
That's the
Yes.
future. How you not gonna listen to the future?
That's real, and that's what. And
You know what I'm saying?
if that's what you're doing it for,
Yeah.
right? Like we're not
Yeah.
doing it. We're not doing it for me, right? We're
Yeah.
doing it for future
Yeah.
generations.
So you gotta
And-
listen to
Yeah,
because they got the insight like of what's going on. Like so you gotta tap in with the future. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Now, Justin, I was looking at an article earlier. I didn't bring this up earlier because I'm not getting messy yet, y'all.
Yeah,
Calm
yeah.
down, calm down.
I love it.
But Justin, I was looking at an article because Juanita Batchelor is a really good friend of mine.
Yes,
I've known her for many, many years. I love her. She's like a
Does
sister
great
to
work.
me. So I was looking at an article that she had about what's going on with like the Justice Department and
Mhm.
the Department of Justice coming into Springfield. They have like this new panel. And can you tell the people, because a lot of people probably don't know that we basically, I don't want to say it the wrong way, but we're under investigation sort of kind of by the Department of Justice.
So the Department of Justice did their investigation into
Mhm.
the Springfield Police Department, and they found that they were in violation of that the Springfield Police Department had violated the constitutional rights of our citizens. And so the DOJ came in, they made their findings, and what they ultimately did was put us under a consent decree. And so that
What is that? What's a
consent decree.
Consent decree. What is that? Yes.
It means that a judge is going to enforce an agreement that the city of Springfield has entered into with the Justice Department to fix what is wrong in our police department. And so there are a series of policies that they have to implement, use of force policies that they just recently implemented. They had to get community input into those use of force policies. There also were policies in the internal investigations unit that they're moving forward with now. Body camera policies that they're also moving forward with, just to make sure that we have a transparent police department that is not violating the constitutional rights of the residents of Springfield. I actually welcome the Department of Justice.
So it's like a overseer seeing to making sure that you do the right thing.
That we do the right thing. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And there's no reason. I mean, we should be doing the right thing anyway, right? So when I look at the consent decree and folks, they get upset over the amount of money that is costing us, to implement a lot of these policies and procedures, I say to myself, you should have been doing it anyway.
I was going to say, really?
Yeah, no.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, for me, it's a no-brainer, right? Whatever you have to do to ensure that our residents get a fair shake, especially as it relates to the police, then that's what it is we need to do. I mean, it was, the instances and the cases that the DOJ brought to light were unfortunate and really an embarrassment and a black eye on our police department.
And that's only the stuff that they know about.
That's only the stuff that they know about.
Because I know growing up, even like, back in the day, even my daughter's father, of course, he's an upstanding citizen now.
Yeah.
But back in the day, young men, they were, selling drugs, doing what they needed to do to take care of their families. and they was getting chased by the police. I remember them, a lot of my male friends getting chased by the police, getting beat down, and all that other stuff. So
Oh, that was
it's been
happening here
going
too?
on for
Definitely
years and
that.
years and years.
Oh, damn. I didn't know that was it.
Oh, Charles, no,
I didn't know that was happening here too.
we should
No,
have been
I was being sarcastic.
It's almost 4 years ago.
I was like, oh damn, that was happening here too.
In little old Springfield.
No, I mean, listen, we need to do better.
Yes.
You know, we need to expect better and of our police department. And we need to make sure that they have the resources to police effectively.
Yes.
They need to be in the community. They need to be building relationships
Yes,
much more
yes,
than they were doing previously. And then they
Yes.
also, I mean, the fact that we're writing policies now is extremely problematic. Like, what
Mhm.
is it that you were doing before when you didn't have a
Right.
policy?
Yes.
And so,
Yep.
Oh,
you know, when
already
I
know-
look at
you
the
already know
policy,
what was going on.
well, you know,
We know what that was going
You
on.
already-
based off
They
of
was
the,
doing the most.
you already
Beating
So-
up on people and
you know, I like to believe that, you know, right now we're in a good position to move forward as it relates to our police department. And yes, they are definitely under a spotlight. And, you know, my hope is that we'll start to change the culture, because that's really what it's about. It's about changing the culture here in the city of Springfield. And I know we have a number of young officers. We actually have a number of officers of color. And we want to make sure that from the top down, we're instilling in them a culture of wanting to be a partner with our residents, as opposed to, you know, looking at our residents as though they are, as though they don't exist, you know, as though they're not people, as though they're, you know, they don't want to go back home to their families. And so, you know, I believe we're on the right track, and certainly I'm excited by the Department of Justice being here. And, you know, we also have a newly implemented police commission. And so they also, you know, I'm hopeful that they'll get their
Yeah.
act together, which they haven't
Yeah.
thus far,
Mhm.
and
How are you
start,
feeling about them? Because I did see that. I read the article and it looks like they might be
you know,
trying.
we,
Well,
we,
how do you feel?
well, again, you know, pressure busts pipes.
Yeah.
And so when you
Yeah.
have like the DOJ in here, when you have compliance evaluators in
Mhm.
here that are
Mhm.
working with the police department and the police commission
Yeah.
to make sure that they're doing the right thing, you know, what naturally occurs is that folks start to do the right thing.
Yes. Yep.
The problem is that there shouldn't be this much resistance. The
Yes.
problem is that there shouldn't be this much disorganization.
Right.
And when you look at our police commission, you know, when it's all appointed by the mayor, that's fine. That's in
Mhm.
that's in the law as it's written. That's in the charter. But at the same time, we want an open process, right? We want a
Yes.
process where everybody can apply to be a police commissioner.
Yes.
You know, we want a
Yes.
process that is fair, that is in the
Mhm.
public, that is transparent.
Yeah.
Man, listen, man.
Yeah.
You speaking cries that we've been throughout this country, man.
Yes. Mhm.
You speaking what we've been speaking this throughout this.
That's-
What you saying? Like
that's
this has been forever, brother.
Mhm.
Like this has been since, you know what I'm saying, I've been hearing it since I was a kid, hearing kids get shot by the police, you know what I'm saying? Or we, you know, shooting our own. So, you know what I mean? Like it's, you know, at some point it got to come to
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
kind of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you-
some
and you-
kind of
Some
head.
kind of head. Yeah.
If it doesn't come to a head now, and you know, unfortunately, you know, to a certain degree, folks are going kicking and screaming and fighting against change
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
than one would expect. And you know, the idea that they're fighting so hard to do what is right
Mhm.
is one of the primary reasons why I believe that there needs to be a change in
Yeah.
leadership.
Yeah.
We ought to be welcoming those individuals in
Right.
our police
Right.
department
Yes.
to do what is right.
Mhm.
And if we weren't able to do it from a leadership standpoint,
Yeah.
well, then maybe the Department of Justice or some outside entity
Can help.
needs to
Yeah.
come in and
Yes.
change the culture.
Yes.
And, you know, it needs to happen sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
And so I believe that there's a combination of issues that are going on. The Department of Justice is certainly starting to rectify that, but I also believe it has to change at the top.
Yeah.
And so if it doesn't change at the top, then you're
there's
gonna
really not too much they are going to be able to.
you're always going to try to beat the system. You're always
Mhm.
going to try to get around the system.
Yeah.
You know, you ought to be looking at your police commission and saying, you know what, they were elected by the people. They were supported by the people.
Mhm.
They are representative of the residents of Springfield.
Yes.
Let them do their job.
Yeah.
And if they fail to hold officers accountable for their actions, well, then you can in turn say, you know what,
You're not doing your
you're
job.
not doing your job, but you know
Mhm.
what, you were the people. You represent the people,
Yeah.
and so the people ought to be holding you accountable.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it actually also serves as a way to insulate the mayor. So that's why I find it so hard to understand why you're stacking the deck. Why would you
Mhm.
stack the deck?
Yes.
Why wouldn't you just have an open and transparent process
Mhm.
that everybody says, you know what, this is for the people, by the
Yep.
people,
Yes.
and this is what you wanted, and this is who you selected
Right.
through an actual process. There's not a whole lot more that I can do. And
Mhm.
so if something goes wrong in terms of them holding officers accountable, it it wasn't on me.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it was on the
Yes.
people that were selected through this transparent
Mhm.
process, and we need to hold them accountable.
Right.
But unfortunately, it hasn't quite worked that way.
Yeah.
So again, another reason why we need to change in leadership.
Now, okay, because I don't want to take all the questions, right?
Nah, you good.
Okay,
You good.
because you gotta understand, Charles. He's just coming into our community,
Yeah, I got
so
it.
he has some questions too. But okay, so one question I wanted to talk to you about, because we was having a whole interview before the show started, y'all. So we already, but we'll cover it again. But anyways, so about the two officers that they have going up for, I guess, for what they've been doing.
Yeah.
Apparently, a couple of officers were rehired that were a part of the situation that happened at the bar
Nathan Bills.
at Nathan Bill's,
Yes.
where they attacked and beat on some black men,
Yes.
and now they've been rehired.
Yes.
Y'all gotta
So-
fill me in on this.
Yes, Phil. Yes. Basically, just touch base on that if you can, Justin.
On the Nathan Bills incident.
Yeah, the Nathan Bills incident and what's going on now as far as them being rehired. Was it both officers rehired or just one?
Both officers
Okay.
were they were not disciplined,
Mhm.
and so they were never fired from their jobs.
Okay.
They just they were found guilty of assault,
Sorry.
and once they were found guilty of assault, they
Yeah.
still, because they were not found guilty of a felony, they still had an opportunity to go before the police commission and get their jobs back. And so the police commission only had 3 members that particular day. There were 2 members that were out of town because it's a 5-member board. One was actually in the hospital. The other one was out of town.
Right.
And so the police commission, who was not operating without any sort of manual, they were operating without a manual in terms of how to govern themselves,
Right.
without any sort of rules in terms of how to govern meetings. They decided to hold a vote in almost, in secrecy, to rehire these individual officers. And so it was a 2-to-1 vote. Nobody knew that the meeting was taking place. There was not a whole lot of notice. Nobody knew that these officers were even going before the commission. And so it happened right before Thanksgiving. So everybody was shocked at the fact that we didn't even know it was a hearing for them to issue discipline. I'm sure there would be a lot of people that would have been in attendance and, would have been protesting the fact that these officers probably shouldn't have gotten their jobs back. They went into executive session because they were discussing personnel matters. And then when they came out, these officers had their jobs back. And so, just in terms of the incident, I mean, there were 4 individuals who were in Nathan Bill's bar. And ultimately, there was an altercation in the bar. It spilled out into the parking lot. And these individuals were essentially beaten, by police officers, and it was unfortunate, and in the aftermath of that altercation, no one seemed to know what happened. There was video evidence that was not was tampered with. And then no one really pressed charges. And so it wasn't until a couple years later when it was kind of like, listen, you have one individual that has suffered significant long-term injuries. You got another three individuals who, um, obviously were beaten, and then you had folks covering up the case as though nothing happened that night. And so there were a number of officers that were convicted of lying and covering up the case to the attorney general, who ultimately had to step in because the district attorney had not filed any charges against these officers. I believe it was because he felt like he didn't have enough evidence. And that also speaks to the internal investigations unit, who was essentially, they were investigating their own, right? So that the head of the internal investigations unit is run by a Springfield police officer. And so the idea that you have a Springfield police officer investigating incidents that involve officers is problematic in and of itself. Then the district attorney ultimately gets the review.
How can that even happen?
How
can a former police officer be head of the commission that's going to investigate other police officers?
That's the way that the system has been set up for a long time. That is probably why the IIU unit has been dismantled. That's probably why the Department of Justice has said that there needs to be an attorney that is, the head of the IIU unit, that is actually ensuring that reports are being written the right way, reports are being inputted into the system the right way, and that there's some level of independence in that particular department. So my hope is that after the DOJ is through, the IIU unit will be a bit more independent and, hopefully will be processing these cases the way in which they should.
So wait, because I'm saying I'm an outsider. So you're saying four people, four people got in a fight with some more people that was in a bar.
Officers that were in the bar. So they were off-duty officers.
The off-duty officers got in a fight with some
patrons.
Patrons in the bar.
With
So these
four
patrons were black.
individuals, and the patrons were all they were all black. Yes.
Okay.
And so, but the kicker was after it was all said and done, and after the attorney general finally had to step in, the city of Springfield had ended up paying out close to $1 million in settlements. And so that told me that something was wrong. Something happened, right? So you're costing taxpayers a significant amount of money for this particular incident. So it was obvious that something happened that day that costed the city of Springfield $1 million.
So when the officers was did they present themselves as officers after the fight broke out?
So I don't know if they presented themselves as officers after the fight broke out. I know there were a number of officers that were on the scene who were some were in plain clothes and some were were actual officers in uniform. And so
they got together
and they all jumped these individuals.
So they're I believe, and don't get me. I might be off in terms of the numbers, but I believe there were
he's on.
There were roughly like 6 or 7 people that were involved in the actual altercation.
And then they tried to cover it up.
There were a number
7
of
people.
officers.
So was it 5 cops and 2?
So there were
2 black men.
There were like 7 cops, 7 or 8 cops, and there were 4 black gentlemen who were involved in the altercation. And then you had another 4 or 5 officers that were charged with covering up the case once the altercation was over. So whether it was not reporting the incident the way in which it should have been reported, whether it was telling a cab that they had called to leave the scene and then not being honest about that, whatever it was. All
that movie shit we be seeing,
That's
and then they had the cover up going on with the people that owned the bar. They was covering it up, and
so they are still. I mean, they are still being.
Is that bar still open?
What'd you say?
Is the bar still open?
So the bar is
still
open.
open.
The bar is still open, and people still frequent the bar. but the actual owner of the
Some
bar
black
is on trial now and is being, his trial is now coming to fruition. He was charged with covering up the case as well.
Wait,
and
so you're
lying
saying
officers.
it's people that's getting charged with covering it up, but the cops got their jobs back?
So there were only two cops that there were two particular cops that were convicted of assault. And
Mhm.
so if you're convicted of assault, that doesn't automatically mean that you lose your job.
It doesn't?
No, it does
Wow.
not.
Well, is that
you-
just in
you-
like
Is that
Springfield?
real? Oh
That's-
my goodness.
that is
that's-
real.
Is that in just like a particular
Justin,
town? Or is
we
that
need to
just
know about
is
this,
that
Justin.
is that a law for across the board, or is that a law just in?
So I'm not sure if it's a
Springfield.
law across the board. I just know that if you're convicted of assault, does not mean that you automatically lose your job. I'm sure I could think of instances in which an assault has taken place.
Yeah, I could think of
where-
one right off the top.
some
Rodney
people
King.
that- I know
I could
some
take one
ladies-
right off the top.
I know some ladies, some regular everyday ladies having fights and they lost their jobs.
But listen,
though.
I could think that Rodney King that was assault, right? That would be considered assault, right?
That might have been more
Because he
than-
didn't die. I mean, he didn't die, but that was considered assault,
So
and they all got off.
so it's
well, probably because he got paid.
And that was on
right?
video.
Is
No, that was
right?
on video. He still got paid, just like you just said about the settlement.
Little mess,
Yeah.
lot going on.
Just like you said about the settlement. Just like you said about the settlement
Yeah.
that they made. They made a settlement with Rodney King too, but the
Yes.
officers were found not guilty though,
Yes.
even though it was on videotape of them assaulting them. So I guess what you're saying is true. Because
all I'm
you know what I'm
telling you is
saying?
that
Yeah,
they
like
were
across the
convicted
board.
of assault. And,
Yeah, and they-
the legal definition of assault versus an assault and battery, which likely would have been considered a felony,
Right.
is a little different.
Yeah.
But the question that, the real point is that, our officers should be holding themselves to a higher standard.
Yes.
And so
Right.
if you're holding
That's
yourself to a
period.
higher
Yeah.
standard and you were convicted of assault in a case that cost the city of Springfield $1 million,
Yes, you
are
should not
these-
have.
Are
Yes.
these the type of officers that you want on
Exactly.
the force?
Mhm.
Especially
Them all-
considering everything that has gone on with the police department, it seems to me that we ought to have set an example.
Yes.
Something obviously happened. or else
Shit,
we
not
wouldn't
just
be
this
able to
police
have that
department,
type
like
of-
all over the
Yes.
world. Police, like you should be, you should be looking at that too. It's all over the world, not just Springfield police need to say like is
America in general.
yeah, like you need to.
Yeah.
We in a different time. Like off duty cops in a bar. Yeah, that's that in a fight brook. Yeah, that's gonna get ugly.
And I
You know what I'm
think
saying?
that,
Like, that's gonna
that
get
might
ugly.
have been the difference too. I mean,
That's
they,
gonna
they,
get
they
ugly.
were not in uniform.
Right, that's gonna get. They
And
was in there
so,
drinking. They them off duty cops drink. They drink heavy.
But I think
Because that's a
They drink
thing.
heavy.
Listen,
I'm telling you, they
I
drink
was
heavy.
listen,
I'm
somebody
telling you.
was posted. This was this recently, right? Oh God, I got off topic, but
I know a few.
you know
I
they be
some-
high and they be
drink
drunk. That's the
heavy.
problem. Like I feel like that's the problem because I don't think they do drug tests. Did y'all see? Like there was this big thing where like officers need to have drug tests. They need to be, and they were having this big fit, but
Nah, no
I
narcotics
don't
cop.
think, do they? They don't have to be drug tested or anything like that. Am I wrong or am I right?
I don't know. I don't believe they have to be drug tested.
Yeah.
I don't believe so. But I mean, at the end of the day, again, they hold themselves to a higher standard.
Yeah.
And so when you hold yourself to a higher standard, you need to be conscientious of what it is that you do, especially when you're in a particular setting where there's
Yes.
alcohol involved.
Mhm.
On top of that, there were a number of opportunities in which other officers who arrived at the scene could have
Okay,
intervened,
okay.
right,
Okay.
and
Right,
could
right.
have done the right thing. And so there's
And
no
they
way
didn't.
there's
Yeah.
no way that 7 officers
Mhm.
who were getting ready to engage in an altercation, not one of
Right.
them could have convinced the others to
Yes.
do the right thing and say,
Mhm.
you know what, enough is enough.
Yes.
I mean, the fact that you got from inside the bar to where these other gentlemen were at,
yes.
to me is problematic. There
Yeah,
had to be
Justin.
100 feet in which you could have said, listen,
Yes.
fall back.
Yep.
Like it's not working.
Yep.
Or any of
Yes.
the above.
Yes.
And so the fact that none of that happened, speaks volume in terms of the culture.
Yeah.
And we have to do a better job,
yes.
which is why I'm happy that the DOJ has implemented policies of,
I'm definitely happy
having a
about
duty
that.
to intervene.
Yes.
The
transparency of it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
The fact that you actually got public input on these
Mhm.
particular policies,
Yes.
and some of them are no brainers, right?
Yeah.
We know you ought not be putting folks in chokeholds. You ought not be
Right.
taking it. If someone makes you run, if someone runs from a police
Yes.
officer, you shouldn't in turn take it out on them once you
Right.
catch them, right?
Yes.
There are
Yes.
certain things that are just no brainers. You shouldn't
Mhm.
be, kicking folks when they're
Yes.
handcuffed already,
That's right.
right? Like
That's
there
right.
are certain
Yep.
things
It's
that
just common sense.
that just shouldn't
Yep.
happen. And so,
Mhm.
we
Were
got to
all
get around the culture
were
Yeah.
all
that
those
we have here.
officers white?
Nope.
No,
No.
there was a mixture of officers
Latino, black, white.
across the board. I mean,
Mhm.
from those that assisted in the cover up
Yeah.
to those that were involved in the
That
actual
Mhm.
altercation. Yeah, that didn't have that wasn't it.
Yeah.
it was
I mean,
just
Yeah.
it was across the
Mhm.
board from a racial makeup.
Yeah.
It's the culture
it's the
that
Yep.
culture of
allowed
being
that
the
to happen.
The
police.
blue, because
Yeah,
that's what they
police.
say
Yeah,
too.
It's the
Like
culture.
once you're sometimes certain officers, once they become an officer, there's no color. The only color that they know is blue.
We have to do better. I don't care what the culture is.
Yeah.
I mean, we're dealing with human beings,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Like there's no justification for us engaging in what occurred that evening.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if those officers had to do it all over again, my hope is that they would have learned their lesson,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
for many of them, it could have cost them their pensions and it could have
Right.
cost them their career.
Yeah.
There's one that is probably getting ready to lose his pension, and he was recently charged with lying to um, lying to the AG's
Yeah.
office. And so he's appealing the case now.
Mhm.
But it's all problematic.
Yeah.
We
It
need
is. It
we need
definitely
honest
is.
officers, police in the city of
Yes.
Springfield
That love
care.
their city.
I was about to say that
Yes.
care, that love their
That brings
city.
me to another topic that I was looking at too, as far as living in Springfield
Yeah.
and being of like a certain, you know what I mean, a higher elevation, or for instance the police chief or the fire chief or any of these people needing to be residents of Springfield, because at the same time that's really the only way you can really understand the people is if you're an actual resident. You know what I mean? Like, can you speak on that
Yeah,
as to
I can. I can. And then before we get to that,
Yeah.
let me
Okay.
just be very clear.
Yeah.
We need to ensure that we have the best police department, not just in the Commonwealth but in the country.
Yes.
And so we need to make sure that they're provided with the training and the supports necessary
Right.
to allow them to be the best police officers that they can be. We also need a police commission that is transparent
Yes.
and that is going to hold officers accountable.
Yes, because we're not
when-
anti-police here. Just
You
we
gotta
want to
be
make
very-
that clear.
very
Little Messy
clear about that.
Podcast is not anti-police.
I-
But
I mean, we need to have, when it's time to hold officers accountable,
Mhm.
we need to hold them accountable.
Yes.
When it's time to celebrate officers for the good work that they're doing, we need to do that as well. And it starts at the top. And this was a series of incidents that ultimately brought the DOJ in. Now that they are here, we need to work with the DOJ as opposed to going kicking and
Yes.
screaming
Yes.
to implement the policies that they feel will move our police department
Yeah.
forward. And it shouldn't be it ought to be seamless.
Mhm.
These are things that we should have
Yes.
done and been doing already.
Mhm.
So with that said, I'll go back to residency. I just want to be very clear
Yes.
that our plan is to work with our police officers,
Yes. Yeah.
and support our police officers to get them to the point
Mhm.
where they actually are building relationships with our
Yes.
residents, and incidents like the Nathan Bills incident does not happen again.
Mhm.
The idea that we're lying to federal investigators and state investigators
Wow.
like that just doesn't make sense to me.
Mhm.
The idea that we're not calling out other officers who are doing wrong,
Yes.
that to me is problematic.
Yeah.
And so hopefully with the policies in place, that won't happen again.
Yeah.
As it relates to residency and living in the Springfield, in the city of Springfield, I mean, as well as I do, when you live in the city of Springfield, you're vested in the city of
Yes.
Springfield.
Yes.
You care about what happens.
Mhm.
When
Yeah.
you know that you're going to see Johnny's mom the next day, you might be
Yes.
less apt to go and whoop Johnny's rear end for no reason, right? Like when you're going to church with Johnny's grandmother,
right.
you might be more apt to treat him with some decency and respect. Same thing in education, right? Like when we start talking about being able to relate to our young people, if you don't understand what it is that they're going through, if you don't understand their experiences, it makes it extremely difficult for you to be able to relate to those kids and ultimately educate those kids. So
I saw that a lot in New York. I saw that a lot in New York because they would always have these people that will come, these teachers that would come from like Wyoming and Louisiana, and they're just moving to New York. Now they just moving to New York. Now you're becoming a teacher, and in a community that's predominantly Black, and you don't really know that. Not only do you not know the city of New York like that, you don't know the culture of these kids like that. So I seen a lot of teachers get chewed up and spit out like this, like they're done, like because it just you can't relate.
Never want to teach again.
You can't relate to it. You know what I'm saying? You can't just come out of it and you got to relate, and the kids feel that. So you know what I'm saying, and they feel when you relate to them. They feel when you you know what I'm saying you care when you care about them. You know what I'm saying? Like they feel that. So when you from a place that and they know you ain't from here, like you're not from Harlem. You know what I'm saying? So they're like, you know what I mean? They like
who are you coming from
Wyoming? You don't know what it's like when I gotta walk home. You don't know what it is when I walk in this building. You know what I'm saying? With these stairs, because it's still pissy staircases. It's still broken elevators. It's still that. You feel what I'm saying? Like don't let none of that big money shit fool y'all in like it's still that. You know what I'm saying? Like and it's still and it's a lot of kids that with their parents are terrible. You know what I'm saying? That you know what I'm saying, and you could see it, and it's heartbreaking when you know what I'm saying, because you really, like you said, start caring about these kids, and when you see them and you see like their parents don't really got it, don't really care like how you would care for them. You know what I'm saying? Like and the student can feel it. Like when I go to school, they really they really care. You know what I'm saying? Like it's different from home. So it's all about being relatable, and so that goes to having more men of color in education. And me and my friends was talking about like before we was joking one time like, yo, maybe we need to be cops. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
I used to think that when I was younger. I said I was gonna be a detective
because if it's like in a way, because we joke about it, but in a way it's kind of like real, because you really need somebody who's really who can really relate and not gonna just jump to this first thing of like, oh, we scared, or you know what I'm saying, you need somebody that can relate and talk to people sometimes. Like sometimes you can de-escalate by just talking. You know what I'm saying?
And I agree with you. And I also would say, certainly having people that look like the people that you serve is important. Having people that live in the areas in which they work, especially if they work in a service field, is important. I would also say, as it relates to we have a lot of officers of color. The issue is not having officers of color. The issue is where you have those officers of color. And so if you're not in a position of influence, if you're not in a position to sort of affect change in the culture, then you're not going to get the results that you want. In fact, you're going to find yourself feeling as though you have to just fall in line
and do whatever they say,
as opposed to drawing a line, right? And so we want to make sure that, while we want to make sure our departments are diversified, we also want to make sure that folks are encouraged to take the test to get to these sergeants and lieutenants and captains and etc.
What's the process of becoming a police officer? Is it any psychological evaluations?
It used to be a psychological.
It's no psychological. I'm surprised it's no psych evaluations for police officers.
Back in the day, it used to be like you had to do this whole psychological. Because back in the day, one of my aunts tried to do it, and I was like, "No, you didn't pass the psychological part." This was back in the
that's the big part.
Yes, but I feel like they did away with that shit. Like.
It certainly is not a whole lot of education.
And the weight part too, right?
It don't seem like it. I'm gonna just say that. Mayoral. I'm gonna just say it don't seem like it.
What folks used to say, and it probably still rings true, is that you have to. It takes more to get a barber's license than it does to become a police officer.
That's crazy.
Really?
That's crazy.
Oh my goodness.
We need to think about the standard that we're setting.
Mhm.
But I don't know if I feel that the flaws in our police department are solely a result of a lack of education.
Mhm.
I feel like on any job that you have, you ought to be able to be trained to do the work. And it doesn't necessarily have to be from a book standpoint. You have to want to learn the job, get better
Right.
at the job, and become the best, professional that you could possibly be. So, there are certain things that ought to be no brainers.
But yeah, because when I say psych, I don't necessarily mean education. I just mean like
mentally.
Yeah.
Mentally stable, emotionally
Yeah.
stable. Like a lot of people, I feel like you got to put them in certain situations. I don't know if you
Before
can
you
mimic
could-
a
yeah.
situate
Yeah, I see what you're
because
saying.
in a regular test, like he regular, like that's a regular. I could pass that. Right. When I'm in the fire and I'm in the midst of it, how I'm about to react, like, or I just see somebody and I'm about to, or how I'm gonna, you know what I'm saying, how I'm gonna react to it. Like that's psychological evaluation. Like I feel like I don't feel like I do. I feel like it should be more of that when you're for this kind of a job. When you have a weapon and you can be an authority figure and you could get away with a lot of things that people can't. You know what I'm saying? Like would not see.
Sure.
So I feel like you should have. I feel like you should have the best of the best doing that job.
That's
You
that's
know what I'm
true.
saying?
And those who are thoroughly trained,
Right, you know what I'm saying?
And to your point, it's not enough. It might not be enough to just go through the academy.
Right,
Like,
right. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
that's what. Yeah, basically.
You need to be put in those positions to see
A situation
how it is
like
that you'll react.
Yes.
you know what I'm saying?
Fair enough. And I you have a year on the force for folks to determine whether you're worthy to be a police officer. But again, I go back to those at the top who are determining whether you're worthy to be a police officer.
And they're not
Who
even
is that?
worthy
Yeah, who-
of what they
who is
supposed to
that?
be worthy of.
Because they
So now who's determining who's worthy if
because
they
it
not
be-
even worthy?
It be your man's and your man's man's. You know what I'm saying? Like your grandfather was a cop, your father,
Mhm.
we in here, we locked in, you in here, and you might not even want to be a cop. You do might even want, but his
You
he
do
he's
see
just
that a
locked
lot
in, like he was
in
just
those
locked
fake
in
movies,
into.
but they be real, but they be fake. But
He was just locked in too. He had to
real.
be, you know what I'm saying? So it's be generations of things and that's hard to break.
And it's also when you walk into it with these preconceived notions of, especially when you're dealing in an urban city and you're policing in an urban city, of what it is that
Watching hella rap music and videos and shit. You think it's shit like that all the time.
When you walk in with these assumptions of how it is that certain folks that look a certain way act, that is problematic. When you walk in with these biases, that is problematic.
Already.
So, we have to make sure that we're peeling back the onion to really identify what biases folks come into it with, because we all come into it with biases.
Right.
But if you're walking, on the scene and you're already afraid, right, of folks, just
why are you a police officer?
Right? Like, and I don't need you to be overly aggressive either, right? I've always said that I believe that we need more women on the force, right? We need
that calm mind right there, that, you know what I'm saying, that different
Let
perspective.
them tell us we don't need women because we might be on our period that day and be in a bad
they
mood.
give that
That's
different
their
perspective.
logic, y'all. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that word in front of the men. They know what it is, though, y'all. They know what it is. He got a wife, he got a girl. They know what it is, y'all.
Definitely.
Well, just going back to your last point in terms of those that are making these big time salaries under my administration, these department heads that are making hundreds of thousands of dollars will not make that type of money unless they live in the city of Springfield. They will not work in department
Justin,
heads.
I agree.
So wait, you saying
Yes.
so y'all saying it's people that make big salaries that make decisions for the city of Springfield that don't live in the city of Springfield?
This is something that Justin's been trying to work on. Yes.
How does
they
that
live in,
how does
like,
that even happen?
The upper, like the white neighborhoods, like Wilbraham.
They live in the suburbs.
Mhm,
There is no doubt about it.
Yep.
And so, we need to we need to reassess who it is that we have leading the departments in the city of Springfield. And, if I am the next mayor, there will not be a department head that does not live in the city of Springfield.
Yes.
Currently, there are at least 6 or 7
Okay.
who don't live in the city of Springfield. In fact, the gentleman that's in charge of human resources, who is supposed to
He's exempt,
ensure
He's
that
exempt.
folks live in the city, doesn't live in the city. And
Right.
so when you look at that
Air quotes.
dichotomy,
Exempt.
it is
Mhm.
problematic, and to think that he's going to enforce residency, it just
Like,
doesn't
like-
make sense.
Like you live in Connecticut, you don't live in
Right, right.
Like,
My thing is,
you live
you
in
know what,
like
Justin?
50 states.
My thing is, we always my family, we always talked about that though, like that aspect of it. Like, what would make you not want to do that in your own community, but you would want to go to a community that you probably don't even feel is on your level, or a community that, like, even the teachers, because they said they get paid more. Is that what it is?
I'm
From being because I feel like if you're from Connecticut or you're from Wilbraham, why wouldn't you want to teach where you live or be an officer where you live? What would make you not want to just be in your own community and help your own community, that make you want to go to a community that you look down upon? And you know what I mean? Like,
a lot of it is opportunity. There are a lot of jobs that open up here in the city of Springfield, and so if they're able to get
Yeah.
access to a job and live somewhere else,
yeah,
then they likely will take advantage of it. And
Yeah.
the difference especially with educators, when I was an educator, is that in the city of Springfield you get all sorts of professional development, and so they come out here and get this great professional development to become a better teacher.
Yeah.
They also get introduced to some situations that they probably were not expecting, that also have
Yeah.
made them a better teacher, right? Because you have to have a lot more in your skills.
Yep,
You have to have a lot more in your toolkit.
Them situations.
In order to,
Yeah.
in order to, in order to handle
Mhm.
young people that you're not familiar with.
Yes.
And so now you get
Yeah.
all of those great experiences, and you say, okay, now a position opens up in Wilbraham. I'm going back. Or I'm going
Yep.
somewhere else. We pay well here in the city of Springfield too.
Yes, we do.
And so, we just
Yep.
we need to be mindful of it. We need to make sure we're attracting the best talent, and we're also grooming talent here in the city of Springfield,
Mhm.
right? Like we have the talent here.
Yes. we
Don't tell me
definitely
it's
do.
not here. I believe
Yes.
it's here.
Yes.
We just need to make sure that we're grooming that talent,
Mhm.
and we have folks that are invested in the city.
Yeah.
Yo, just I'm an outsider. Like, I do love Springfield. Like, but see, I'm not from here.
Yeah.
So to me, for a person coming from a major city, like living in New York, like this is peaceful.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I got an apartment in Chicopee Center. You know, like I hear what people say, you know what I'm saying, about the town, and I, you know what I'm saying, I could, I relate, see the kids I see, you know what I mean? So I hear the stories, it's just, and when you're in New York or you in Jersey and Newark, you feel the atmosphere is like that. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
walk in and you feel it when you walk outside, like, okay,
Yeah.
this some shit might happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm saying, right? Like
Yeah.
here, you don't feel that here, even though like not like you say it happens. But coming from where I'm from, like you don't feel it in the air, like, you know what I'm saying? It's not in the air over there. It's like it's in the air, like,
You gotta watch it.
you know what I'm saying?
Come
Like
out the
like
house,
you
be
know, like
careful,
it's
watch-
like you
yeah.
smell it, like
Mhm.
like you walk to the corner store, you in Patterson, you in Newark and Jersey, or you in the Bronx, you in, you know what I'm saying, certain sections in Brooklyn, like you feel it, you know what I'm saying? Like, so here it's different for me. I don't know, from a person that's from here might feel the same way I'm feeling about, you know what I'm saying, like about Jersey and New York. But so for me, like it's a downside to down, like, from being in New York, you know what I'm saying? It's more peaceful here than being in New York and
Yeah.
Jersey.
I also would argue that you're probably in a different place in your life.
That too.
I mean,
That too. No, that too. No, that too.
Yes,
That too.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'd imagine that, depending on where you live, there are still a whole lot of folks that, are fearful walking to the store, or looking over their shoulders, or
Right.
who just don't know what's going to happen next, right? And it's unfortunate, but it's real. And so when I start thinking about what it is that you can do as the mayor of Springfield to alleviate those concerns, especially with our young people, is that we got to over resource our communities. We got to make sure that our young folks have opportunities. And right now, I would argue that they certainly don't have as many opportunities as they ought to have. And so if all they know is, the block in which they've grown up in, we need to make sure that they know that there's more out there for them.
Right.
We need to make sure that there are jobs out there for them. We need to make sure that they're well trained, so that when they get out into the workforce, they're actually making a living wage.
Right.
So I mean, I would argue that there are folks that go out here and feel like
No, I understand. No, I that's why I said I understand. I said I was saying like somebody that's from Springfield will feel the same way I feel like when I was walking outside in Newark or Pat. It's like okay, this is, but I'm not from. I didn't grow up here. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna feel it like how they feel it. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that it doesn't go on and nobody won't feel the, you know what I'm saying, same way.
And it's also what you're involved in, right? Like,
that too.
I never feel I never feel uncomfortable,
because you ain't involved in
the streets of Springfield. I never feel uncomfortable when I'm working.
That's why whenever people like, oh my God, Springfield's so bad, I'm like, what?
Yeah,
is it really? Like,
is what you into though. That's the same thing in New York. It's like whatever you're into, you can get into. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like it's just on a heightened level over there. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever you wanted to get into, if you wanted to party, you wanted the drugs, you wanted the women, you wanted to gamble, you wanted like you can, you know what I'm saying, is whatever you wanted to get into. Like so, but if you, like you just said, if you had a different point in your life, like certain things you're not even ain't even on your radar no more. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
that's facts.
We also become desensitized to some of the things that are happening. I feel like
over
the course of the last 3 weeks, I've seen I've read about a shooting that has happened in broad daylight. Like that's problematic. So we also have to be mindful of
it's out in our world. The world we live in is we're getting desensitized to violence, and
that's
for sure.
And we're just like another one.
Yes, because I did do that recently. They was like, oh, somebody else. I was like, oh, good Lord. Wow, not again.
And you feel sad because you don't want to, because if somebody really lost their life, like somebody lost their life, you know what I'm saying?
Son, sister, daughter,
for it to be so regular, you know what I'm saying? It's scary. You know what I'm saying? Like it's regular. Like we like, damn, another one. Then we just kind of
let it go.
You know what I'm saying? Move on. Like and that's what it's becoming in this world. Like it was school shootings from the club shootings to the, you know what I'm saying? Is we're like, okay, that's what it is.
Justin, let me ask you this, just to like touch up on like the police and all that other stuff. And like, no, we are. This is our last police question, y'all, so we can start getting into.
They about to shut the live down. Yeah.
I gave him a code word when he's ready to go. So if y'all hear us end it, it's the code word. But Justin, okay, this is my last police question. But okay, so your son is 11, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't have sons, I have daughters.
Okay.
Chels has a daughter too.
Right.
So, like, how do you feel? Have you had that talk with your son yet? And do you feel that there's a specific time for those people that have a son your age? You know what I mean? And just thinking about like Trayvon Martin, or not even Trayvon Martin. Who was the one that was 12 years old? The young boy, he was 12 years old playing with
Tamir Rice.
Yes, Tamir.
Yeah. Is it Tamir Rice?
He was 12 years old, almost your son's age. So have you had to talk with your kids yet? Not your kids, because the baby's too young.
6.
And do you plan to have that talk?
So the short answer is yes. Like we're living in a very real society right now, right? Yeah. Like things happen that probably shouldn't happen, but I need to protect my son. And so in order to protect my son, we need to have those difficult conversations. And so I know when he came out in the middle of me watching the probably the third Nichols video out in Memphis, when they showed it from the light post view.
Oh man, any view they show that shit from was
when they showed it from the light post view, it was heart wrenching.
Yeah, that was.
I I started to say, you know what, son, we'll I'll get you to your practice.
Mhm.
But in a minute, but go back into the room.
Yep.
But I didn't say anything because I wanted him to see it.
Yeah.
Because I I want you to I don't want to sugarcoat anything. Life is hard.
Yes.
Life is not easy, and
Yeah.
especially if you're a black male
Yes.
or
Oh
a
my
male of
goodness.
color
Yep.
in urban centers or just in general, life is
Yeah.
hard, and
Yeah.
you need to get exposed to that reality, in my opinion, quickly.
Yes.
And so, I'll never forget what he asked me because he watched Nichols with his back against the car, and he asked me whether he died. So he didn't know the
Oh
full
my
extent of the
goodness.
story. But while I'm sitting there like nobody's gonna render this guy aid, yeah, son, he died,
Yeah.
but he didn't have to. And then on our way to practice, it's like, listen, man, if you get pulled over, like this is what you
Yeah.
do.
Yes.
Like
Yes,
this is what you
husband.
do. Like you have to do this. You want to live,
Yeah.
this is what you do.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so, yes,
That
we
is
have
so
those,
heartbreaking.
but it's not even that we've had those talks. It's how many times we've had to
Oh my
have those
gosh.
talks,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like it is. It's unfortunate, and but it's real.
Yeah.
And so because that's
Yeah.
just the society we're living in, I want my son to be exposed to what is
Yes.
and what is happening.
Yeah.
And if there are ways in which I can protect my son, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And that's not how you should feel when you interact with law enforcement.
Yeah.
It's extremely problematic that you have to turn into a robot
Yeah.
when you're interacting with law enforcement. It's problematic when you have to fear for your life.
Yes.
But if when they turn the lights on me, even here in the city of Springfield, I'm still nervous, and
I
I'm a
was just telling
counselor.
my boyfriend the other day, I'm like, I don't be doing nothing
It's
wrong.
crazy.
Soon as the police hop behind me, I act like I done robbed the bank, I done killed 10 people. I be like, I start getting the shakes, I start getting nervous, and I'm a woman, and I ain't did nothing wrong.
It's innate. It's innate. It's just in us. Like
Yeah.
it's been passed down to us. It's just in our DNA. Black police don't trust. It's just in us. You know what I'm saying? It's been since we've been in the United States of America. You know what I'm saying? Like it's so. I remember one time walking in New York and I hearing a police sign, like you just that quick 2 seconds, you're oh, you know what I'm saying? You don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't know. Because even when you say you're having that talk with your son, like he could do everything right.
Yes.
Everything. He could do everything. Everything you told him, he to the T. To the T. And he could still not come home.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he could still not like that's
Now that's
we
the sad part.
and our counterparts don't have to have those conversations with their kids. You know what I'm saying? Like we gotta have those conversations, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
with our young men to let them know, like, even doing the right thing, you still a target, even doing the right thing. You know what I'm saying? By your police, by your own too, doing
Definitely
the
by
right
your
thing, you know
own,
what I'm saying? By
yeah.
your own doing the right, like you're a target. Like so, being a black man out here is definitely
Yeah.
a full-time job.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, let's
That's what
lighten
I
it up
told
a
him.
little
Yeah,
bit,
man.
y'all,
The
because we
best
get a
thing you
little
can do is be
sentimental.
prepared. Yeah.
Yes,
No.
be prepared. Talk to them.
Yeah.
Let them know. Stick your hands out the windows, like.
Yeah.
And it's sad.
Turn
It
the
is
lights
sad.
on.
Yep.
Don't reach for anything. No sudden movements. Like
Yep.
it's real. You have to. I mean, you have to fear for your body.
Yep.
And it's real.
And you don't even gotta be in the car. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah,
For
you sure
that
don't.
to happen.
And
Y'all just told me about the bar incident. You know what I'm saying? You don't even gotta be in the car.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
And you got to be mindful of the company you keep too, right? Like,
Yeah, you definitely
this
gotta
is, I mean, my son is, he's taller and bigger than everybody else in his class, and he's a a good basketball player, a good football player. So he's known and he's popular. And I can only imagine, you give it high school, like you want to go and hang out with all of the wrong people, right? Like I need you to get your mind focused and get your mind right now. Like I even think the video games and whatever I can do to get him to where he's focused on
Mhm.
something other than just
Being out in these
being out in the
streets or being
streets.
around the wrong
Hey,
Yeah,
influence.
being
I
And
gotta, I'll do it
yes,
for you.
being an
yeah,
Whatever you
athlete,
need.
yes,
being an
yes.
athlete is like in school because I was one. That's one of the hardest things.
It's a lot of
Because
pressure.
what you just said about veering off or hanging with,
Yeah.
because everybody didn't play ball. You know what I'm saying? Basketball. Like so, some of your friends were into other things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that going to the court, going home to go to, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes it was boring. Like everybody else was kind of outside. You know what I'm saying?
They were staying at the court.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying?
And you
Like,
gotta take your ass home.
Yeah.
you
Get
know
your
what I mean?
ass
Like,
home.
it's
Yeah.
Party's over, basketball's over, let's go.
you know what I'm saying? Like it's
Yes.
that's a level of focus and discipline. Like
For sure.
because you gotta have like from high school to college, like the college
Yeah.
or everything. Like it's just a level of discipline, and it's not easy. It's not for everybody to do. Because somebody could have the basketball part down, but they can't get the school part down. Like, you know what I'm saying? They can't sit in the classroom and damn,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, they can't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to get all of it in one, it's still like you got to be a focus and you got to really want it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it is.
Yes.
And that's what I'm trying to teach you now. Like that discipline is so important. You know, you don't just in turn be a Pop Watson who, you know, just went from Central to Virginia Tech, right? Like that, you know, you idolize him or you idolize the Griffin brothers who just went to BC. Like we're producing some big time athletes.
Yeah.
But you
So
don't
they play
just
football or basketball?
You don't. They both all of those play football.
Okay.
You know, but you don't just start idolizing those big time athletes and just think that they got to where they're at by not grinding, by not working, by not, you know, giving everything that you have and trying to get better every day, right? Like it just, you know, that's what I try to impress upon him. And that's life in general. You know, you want to make it to a particular place, you gotta grind. You gotta do it 10 times harder than certainly the person that doesn't look like you, but you gotta certainly do it twice as hard as everybody else that wants it, right? What are you doing different to separate yourself from the next person that, you know, is doing the same thing you're doing? What are you doing different? So anyway, I'm sorry.
Yes. No.
That's
great.
That was
Yeah. So once again, you guys, you already know we got Justin Hurst in the building, mayoral candidate. We gotta make sure we get him voted into office, y'all.
Mayor
We're gonna have him on the show again. We're gonna have him give you all the information. Now, okay, so Justin, just kind of tell the people, you know, what you got plans, how you're gonna be doing your, you know, your
yeah, because I'm trying to come out to support, man.
That's what I just told him. I told him, what can I do? What can we do to help
I just
campaign?
met this guy, man.
For mayor, Hurst, the number 4 mayor.com. Go to Hurst, the number 4 mayor.com and go sign up to volunteer. Like this particular race is going to be won in the trenches, right? This race is not going to be won by those that always come out and vote. This race is going to be won by folks who are motivated, who believe in our vision, who want to see change, and who want to see historical change, and who just want a better plight for not only themselves, but for their children and their children's children. And so in order to do that, we need everybody. We were fortunate enough to have over 400 people come to our kickoff. And, you know, the caveat to that is that, you know, you had 400 people who were energized, but 200 of those people were not regular voters who voted in a municipal election.
Wow.
So that means any number of things, right? Either we were doing something right to say, you know what, you know, I'm excited about something this brother is bringing to the table, or something that he's done, you know, or they were just curious. Neither here nor there, we in turn have to capitalize on that energy, right? We have to in turn continue to appeal to those individuals who didn't think government was working for them, right? Like those are the people that we're working for. Those 200 that don't come out and vote regularly, if they come out and vote regularly, and then get their friends to vote regularly, and their friends to come out and vote in this municipal election, we'll be very successful. I'll show you that.
So what you think is going to get more people to come out like that?
Yes, I was just about to say.
Well, we have to appeal to the people that don't think government's working for them.
Right.
You got a whole, you know, a whole crew of young people that we've never tapped into. right? I remember when the George Floyd murder occurred.
Right.
Folks marched from Central down to the police station,
Mhm.
and I mean thousands
Yes.
of young folks
Whew.
marched from Central
That gave me the goosebumps.
down
y'all.
to the police station. Like they were, they were enthused and motivated for change
Yes.
as a result of what occurred.
Mhm.
Let me give you the flip side of that scenario. Us older folks,
Yeah.
middle-aged folks,
Right. Right.
right, in turn hosted a protest at Nathan Bill's,
Mhm.
partly in response to
Mhm.
of what occurred at Nathan
Yep.
Bill's,
I
Right.
went to that one.
and the fact that
Yep.
you know we knew that a George Floyd could happen here in the city of
Mhm.
Springfield.
Right.
We
Yes.
were only, we were
Like
only.
Ben Schofield. Well, he
Yeah,
didn't get the knee in the neck, but the police killed him.
It could
Yep.
happen again,
Mhm.
right? And so, but we organized and we had a good turnout, but we only had like 500. They got like a couple thousand. And so, you know,
Yeah.
it was something that happened there that, you know, really changed their thought process to say, I want to get involved.
Yes.
For I think one of the reasons, because that movement of youth was nationwide.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think this was their Rodney King.
Yes.
This was, saying this is like
Mhm.
really up front because this is during the pandemic. So we
Yeah.
all was
Yeah.
still.
Mhm.
We all were still.
Mhm.
This wasn't hustling the bus. We all
Yeah.
saw it, and the young people wasn't going to school. Everybody
Mhm.
just saw it, and
Yes.
they saw it.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
this was their Rodney King. That only thing difference was I feel like what they did, how they did it, got convicted. We didn't do enough
Yes.
to get. I not to say that we didn't do enough
I
because
agree
we
with-
did.
I feel what you're
be-
saying.
Because that was on videotape, just like the George Floyd
Mhm.
was on video.
Yeah.
That Rodney King was on video. They got acquitted. The
Yeah.
George Floyd,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying? We came along, you know what I'm saying? We came
Yeah.
along because during our generation, we was like, there's no way they getting off. It's on videotape. Yeah, they going
Yes.
down. Like,
Yeah.
and they didn't. And George Floyd, so this is the youth of today, this was their moment. You know what I'm saying? This is like, and this
They
was,
had enough.
I
'Cause they've
seen
been
black
seeing
and
it.
white, all color youth. It just was like, nah, this
Yeah.
is not this is not how it's supposed to go down. You know what I'm
Because I
saying?
feel like they had been seeing police brutality, but they didn't see it to that extent.
It's because of that
until
pandemic
George
when
Floyd,
we were all
they hear us
still.
old people talking about it and complaining or whatever.
Because
Yeah.
look,
But
everybody
I feel
had
like they never actually got a first-hand look
Right.
at what it looks like.
For sure.
everybody had
Mhm.
masks on out there protest because it was still in the midst of
COVID.
Yeah,
COVID.
And the
yes,
fact that you would
yeah.
have,
And you had like you just
Yeah.
said, thousands of people
Yeah.
marching,
Mhm.
and nobody cared about that. Like
Yeah.
it was a big, even that is a thing. Like nobody cared about the pandemic. Nobody
Yes,
cared about
yes,
it being.
yeah.
It was like, nah, this ain't
Yes.
right here. Like
Mhm.
and everybody came together.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, and so we need to tap in
yes.
to
That's why you
whatever
tap into the youth.
emotions that that caused them to say enough is enough,
Yes.
to really get them to realize that here in Springfield, enough is enough.
Yes.
Right? Like the
Yep.
city of Springfield also is not working for you.
Mhm.
Right? Like the city of
Mhm.
Springfield. I mean, I hear so many of our young people, especially after they graduate, I want to leave Springfield. Like,
Yes.
no. What are we doing wrong to where you want to leave and
I
get
know,
away from
right?
Springfield? Why is Springfield
Just
not
like
a
I was
place?
telling you about my daughters
Yeah.
that they moved, they both live in Connecticut.
And
Yep.
it's why can't we offer whatever it is
Mhm.
that they're offering wherever you're going? What are we doing
Yes.
wrong? And part of it is that we just haven't asked them,
Mhm.
right? Like when I was,
Yes.
I mean,
Yep.
you'll be surprised, and I won't forget. School committee woman Naylor has said to me that our young people, if you just listen to them,
Yes.
will solve a lot of the ills in
Mhm.
our society
Yes.
that grown folks struggle with.
Yeah.
And so, I look at my two sons and what it is that they did for the foundation of my campaign in terms of how it is that I ought to govern. I mean, there were two instances with my young sons that I was like, you know what? I gotta take this. Like, this is real. Like my
Yeah.
youngest son was like, Dad, I don't need you to be a superhero with special powers. I need you to be a superhero of love.
Oh my
I need like
Oh, that's dope.
I
That's
don't need you to
dope.
be a superhero with like he's 6 years
Oh
old.
my
Dad, I don't need you to be a superhero with special powers.
That's
Yes.
dope.
I need you to be a superhero with love.
Wow.
Like, and when I think about how it is that you want to govern in the city of Springfield, like if you just looked at our residents through that lens
Yes.
of love
Love.
and
Oh my goodness.
compassion.
These
right?
kids are
Like,
so
it's
smart.
crazy.
A
It's
6-year-old.
crazy.
A 6-year-old is
It
teaching
was
us.
just that simple, right?
Oh
It was
my
something. It was just.
goodness.
It was that simple, and I
Yeah.
was like, you know what, son, I got you. I
Yes.
got you, right?
Oh my
like,
God,
like
That's
I
all you
got
gotta-
you.
That
You
would
know?
make me
That's
cry.
all you gotta listen
Oh
to the
my
youth,
God,
man.
y'all.
So
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
yeah,
So Justin, if you had to tell the people, okay, because a lot of people don't know you.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially some of the younger generation. We're
Yeah.
we're definitely voting for Justin, y'all. So if y'all want to be down with a little messy
Mayor
podcast
elect.
on Digital
Listen.
Boombox Network, you can't be down with the click
Mayor
if
elect.
you're not voting for Justin. You're not down, period. But Justin, if you had to tell the young people or anybody, just give the people a reason, even if it's 1 to whatever, of why they need to vote for you.
Why they need to vote for me? That's deep. That's deep.
Because we already know.
Yeah,
we
listen,
biased.
Listen, I'm
We
trying
biased on Little Messy Podcast. Don't listen to us. We biased.
You know, I don't do what I do for me.
Yeah.
Right. Like everything that I do it for the residents and the citizens that I'm serving.
Yeah.
Every time I approach an issue, I look at it from the standpoint of how does it benefit everybody and not just a select few. How can we in turn make sure that this $123 million in ARPA funding that we got?
See, now he just started a new conversation. Let him finish that thought first.
That we got as a result of COVID actually gets back to the people that it was
Yes.
designed to get back
Yes,
to,
Justin,
right?
yeah.
Like, how is it like what we need somebody who actually cares,
Yes.
who actually wants to take a look at the issues and say,
Yeah.
you know what, how can I make sure that we're touching all of the
Yes.
residents, right?
Yeah.
Someone who says, you know what, you might have messed up. You might have messed up when you were younger, right?
Yeah.
You might have had to do some time, but now you've paid your debt to
That's
society.
right. That's
And now
right.
we need to figure out a way in which we can employ you. And we need to lead with that. Like, if you're not leading in terms of employing our returning citizens at the executive level, why in the world would other businesses do the same? And then if you're not going to do that, what are these individuals going to do?
Yes.
What else are they
my
got?
goodness.
How are they going to in turn be productive citizens
Yes.
if you're not thinking about how we can have first class schools?
Yes.
Right? And we're not just judging our schools based off of graduation rates and dropout rates like that. We always want to sing those praises, but we're not talking about what happens once you graduate.
Yes.
How many of those individuals are actually being successful in four-year colleges? Are we tracking that information? Are we tracking how many people are coming out and actually making a living wage?
Yes.
The numbers are dismal.
Yeah.
How many schools are ranked above the 60th percentile in the state?
Yes.
How do we rank amongst our other institutions in the state, our other schools in the state?
Yes.
We've got 2 schools that are in the 60th percentile. Every other school is below that. We've got to do better.
Justin.
But even more importantly, we gotta have an honest assessment as to where we're at, right? Like in our school systems, where are we at? In our government, where are we at? Right? Like I just,
because we don't really know. If you think about it, the citizens, we don't really know what's really going on. We just hear little rumors here and there. We just kind of go with the flow, and so yes, that's very true.
Yeah. Yes, it is. We need to get an assessment as to where we're at as a city and how we can really use the resources that we have to benefit everyone. And right now, we're using the resources that we have to benefit a select few, and we ought to do better.
Yeah.
Springfield deserves better. So,
and speaking of the ARPA funds, like. That's a whole
shout out to Councilor Whitfield.
Yes, we might have to do a whole specific show to that, right?
Listen,
we might have to have a whole specific show because
when you start talking about economic justice, right? Like when you start, talking about financial reparations that was supposed to happen as a result of $123 million, it didn't happen. Yeah. It hasn't happened, and in spite of Counselor Whitfield and myself pushing the envelope to say, you know what, we need to ensure that our residents get this money.
Yes.
There are a ton of residents who have still been left out. There are a ton of businesses that have still been left out. And we had an opportunity to really.
It made it so difficult. I tried to for my little business. I gave up.
But how do we think that we can distribute this money to people that need it the most, and then not recognize and understand that we might not have the tools to be able to submit an application that is up to snuff to be approved. Right? Like at the outset, we ought to have had individuals that were assisting and making sure that folks could fill out the application. Like that's not a hard one. And instead we didn't invest the money in that. And right now, I mean, I believe
they closed it, right?
They closed.
Did they open it back up, or
they closed it.
Still closed.
And they closed it in a long press release where it was at the very, very bottom, and they said applications were going to be closed, and nobody knew. Nobody knew about it. And so you had folks that were in the middle of getting technical assistance, that had paid for technical assistance, that had paid somebody to fill out the application, and then couldn't even submit it. And so, it's unfortunate. It's a whole lot of what I've seen occur just in general.
And the thing is that when they do this, like even just not the ARPA funds, but whenever there's some money to be given out or whatever, they give it to these people, and it feels like none of it's like, if you're, you have special treatment. Let's say the people who are giving out the money have their special people that they want to give the money to. You never see these people like trying to give back or assist, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, here, you take this money and that's it. You can go do what you want to do. You don't have to have no, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
there are folks that know people in the administration, and they are able to benefit from people in the administration. And the problem that we have is that it's a small group of individuals that are receiving the bulk of the money. They're receiving the bulk of the resources. They're receiving the bulk of the contracts. And in spite of us hollering, and I say us, I'm giving a lot of credit to Counselor Whitfield. And for those of you who don't know Counselor Whitfield, she's about as thorough of a counselor as I've come across since I've been on the council. So shout out to her.
Tracy, we gotta have you on the show, girl.
And in spite of our fights, with the administration, and she's forced the administration to be more transparent than they've wanted to be around this money, because they benefit from disorganization. They benefit from keeping things where there's no continuity, where where it's not laid out in a spreadsheet that Council Whitfield has been asking for, that tells us exactly what is going to where, which businesses are benefiting, like all of what it is.
Which is not too much to ask for.
It's not a lot to ask for at all. Like, that's what you should have. That's ultimately what you're going to have. But you want to distribute all of the money first, and then have us ask for the information after. That is
That's
not
what I feel like they're doing. They're giving it out to their favorites, and then they're like, okay, well, maybe if there's a little bit left, we might give it to you community members.
There's no reason why we should be giving money to big time businesses who already
some
have
of these
the money.
businesses. I'm like, stop acting like you was affected by COVID, because I was at home ordering DoorDash and you were open the whole time. Stop playing. That's one thing. I'm like, some of these restaurants, like, you did not get affected by COVID, because we was ordering from you, family was ordering from you every day. Stop, okay? Some of these people, I was like, oh, come on now. Like,
and I mean, the problem is that, they know who to go to. They know who to talk to. And your average resident that is shut out doesn't have that luxury. And so how do we make it so that government actually works across the board for everyone? Like,
which is not too much to ask.
Why would you not want to?
Because at the end of the day, we all pay our taxes too.
Because of that money. That's what
we all pay our taxes too. You know what I mean? Even poor people, even a woman that's making $10 an hour, she's paying her taxes too.
Listen, there is no excuse for it. And at the end of the day, there needs to be a change in leadership. It's just all to it. And that's,
that's really what it boils down to.
Facts.
A change in leadership.
I mean, the idea that we can't have free or reduced transportation for those folks that are in need.
Yes.
Right? When you spend
my
a third of your
goodness.
income on transportation, those were the same individuals that still had to ride the PBTA, that still had to make it to your local bodega,
Yep,
right? That
that's
still
right.
had to make it to
Yep.
whatever store that was open.
Mhm.
Those were the folks that were most vulnerable. And you're telling me
Yes.
we can't in turn provide them with free or
Even the
reduced
$1,400 though.
Yep.
Hey,
Y'all
man.
could, I mean, y'all
Yo,
could have
and
just,
all that. Listen,
and y'all
man.
probably could have shut up, not y'all, I meant the administration. Y'all probably could have shut up a bunch of people, giving their little 1,400, just something for some people that didn't have nothing. You know what I mean? They didn't even do that. I've seen people saying they put their applications in.
It is a disaster in terms of what occurred with that $1,400.
Yeah.
You know, and the idea that we also didn't attach, because just giving folks $1,400 doesn't do a whole heck of a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
We still need to make sure that money
I could go
stays,
through that in one day for real,
I mean, like we at least need to make sure that money stays in the community. We gotta leverage that $1,400. And so, you know, we didn't put together a plan. And I say we, the administration didn't put together a plan to ensure that that $1,400 that we're giving out in turn was reinvested in the community and small businesses, which in turn could grow jobs and be more sustainable. Like there was all sorts of things that we could have done, not just to give out free money, right? But to give out free money and then leverage it so that money in turn
it'll come back into the community.
Came back into the community. And so, you know, you could have said something along the lines of bring us your receipts when you shopped in the community from these particular places, and then we'll in turn refund you, right? You know, whether it was where you went to wash your clothes, whether it was, you know, riding the bus or whatever,
the
whatever,
Uber, Lyft, whatever,
to spur small business and economic development. Like we just, in turn, we wanted to appease folks, and we couldn't even do that, right? We gave out, you got 15,000 applications, which you didn't expect to do. Again, shout out to Councilor Whitfield, who was promoting it, right? Apply. We're thinking like, you apply, we tell you to apply, we promote it, that you're going to benefit from the money. Only 2,000 applications have gone out. I mean, have been 2,000 folks have received that money. That's crazy. Like 2,000 out of 15,000.
Really, Justin? Oh my goodness.
That was the last number.
That Brent Favre shit.
Wow.
Favre shit.
Yeah, they was talking about that. A Brent Favre, like Brent Favre.
They took all the money from the EB, like it's EBT, but you know what I'm saying? They took all the money from that.
That's the sad part.
And pocketed that shit. Like
it's sad when rich people that already got money are taking out the mouths of poor people. Like that's just come on.
That's
now that's evil.
It's just sad. It's sad, and we ought to demand better. We ought to do better. And people need to recognize that money was designed for you anyway.
Yes,
our people would have once died.
Because they said it was Black and Latino people of color.
Yeah,
but it wasn't the people of color getting them the tens of thousands.
No, it wasn't the people of color getting millions out of it.
Yes. So, I did see the million one.
You had some big time developers. You had Big Y that received close to $1 million, if not over.
See, Big Y shouldn't have got nothing. I'm sorry.
Wait,
y'all could be mad at me if y'all want. I shop at Big Y. Big Y shouldn't have got nothing. Big Y. These certain places are the ones that made the most during COVID. Big Y, you made more money during COVID than you ever did in your life. We was doing Instacart.
So wait.
We was doing DoorDash. We was doing Uber, not Uber, the Uber Eats.
See, look, I got Big Y, because I got
Big Y, the grocery store.
A friend of mine that did like a scam with COVID and got fucked up by it. She had got like $100,000 off of it. But the companies was doing the same exact thing, because a grocery store was open. Most grocery stores was open during the whole pandemic. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's the most money these grocery stores ever
why
made.
are you applying for? But the little people who get caught go to jail.
Yeah.
They go to prison for that. You know what I'm saying? These companies ain't going to prison for that. Like I said, my friend, I ain't saying she was right. You know what I'm saying? I ain't saying she was right.
We say she was right, but what had happened was
if you tell me Big Y did the same thing she did,
Yeah.
and she with the
And some people got it twice. Some people got it more than one time.
So I would the only difference with the big Ys of the world was that the folks in position of power to distribute the money allowed them to get it or gave it to them.
Yeah.
And so the idea, I'm not upset with Big Y.
Yeah, because
Big
they were
Y
just doing
said-
what everybody was
they-
trying to do.
They said, I want more money and more
That's
money.
exactly
and
what they
more money.
said. That's exactly
you
what
know
they
what?
said.
They went to
The
the
David Wayne
administration-
shit.
They went to the administration and they said, we like more money.
We want more money.
And the administration said, sure, you can have it.
it.
And that, so I don't blame
So, like, we-
the
Yeah.
Big Ys or the
They asked
Filipinos
and they
of the
gave.
world.
So
They're like,
asked,
we printing this shit anyway. Go ahead and get
but
it.
you also have to understand the leverage that these big businesses have on these elected officials, or certainly
Or vice
the one
versa.
that's in the executive office. now.
yeah.
He feels an obligation to have to appease these individuals for
Yeah.
whatever reason.
Yeah.
And so anytime that you have big business electing a mayor
Yeah.
in an urban center,
Yes.
it makes it extremely difficult for them to overlook those big businesses who are
Yeah.
responsible for him being there and keeping him there.
Right.
To in turn say, you know what, I want to take care of the people that need it the most. It's just hard. And so
Yeah.
when we start to think about it, I mean, the mayor can go and raise 150,000 in one sitting, but he's raising that money based off of individuals that have benefited from his administration. And
so they taking that ARPA money.
So it's like
and they doing what they gotta do,
boosters,
and then they gonna give them a portion back. Like, boom, here you go for looking
They
out.
be scamming on a whole nother
I'm
level.
not saying what
He's
it
not
is
saying that,
they're
but
doing,
we saying it on a
but-
Little Messy podcast.
That's on a whole nother
I'm
level.
just saying there may be a quid pro quo, or there
Yes.
may be, and if
Yeah.
I do this, then I expect you to do that. And
Of course.
it's a
Oh,
big
And that's
it's a lot of
that's
that.
normal.
Oh, it's a lot of that.
It's
It's
not-
a lot of
it's
that.
not just Springfield. I mean,
Oh, that's a lot of that.
why,
Yeah.
when we start thinking about how we elect folks that are going to represent all of us, we need folks to understand that all of you out there are the people that can defeat the system that is designed to oppress you.
That's right, y'all.
So if you
Listen
in
to what he
turn
said
say,
again.
you know what? I don't want that system that has currently
Yes.
been allowing me to run in sand for my entire life to continue to do the same thing, then I need to make a difference. And the only way in which you're going to do it so that that particular person who is elected is not beholden to these big time companies is for folks to say, you know what? I'm going to come out and vote.
Yes.
I'm going to come out and vote because that's what they're banking on.
Yes.
I'm tired of the system. The system never works for me. Why should I get out and vote?
Yes.
Well, that just means the system's working.
I was telling
as it
Justin,
should.
y'all, before we even started, me and Justin had a whole interview. Y'all done missed it. Sorry, y'all. Because we were just up in here chatting it up. I mean, we were just chatting it up. But that's one thing I was telling him is about like voting. Like, I was like, I'm done voting. I'm all set. But then when I heard he was running for mayor, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it one more time. I'm going to vote one more time. And see where we get, because you guys, you know what, at the end of the day, it's facts. We don't want to listen to it. Sometimes our ancestors went through a lot so we could vote. So you know what? We need to vote, y'all. We really, really, really need to vote, especially in the city of Springfield. You know, the presidential election and stuff like that. Like they say, it affects us, but not to the point where our local government affects us more. You know what I mean? So
by far the closest to the
Justin.
people. And if people really want change, if people are really tired, if people want new energy, new ideas, individuals that are going to work on behalf of the community. And I say this from the sincerest point of view that you could possibly say it from. When we run, we're running for all of us. We are not running for me, right? We are running for you. And so if you don't understand that your vote can have an impact and can change the trajectory of Springfield, you're wrong. And not only do I need your vote, if you don't think folks are gearing up for this, folks understand that people are excited. Folks saw the kickoff. Now, once you see things like the kickoff and that folks are motivated to get involved and are excited to be a part of it,
hopes.
like they're gearing up.
Yes.
So they're going back to the lab and they're
Mhm.
saying, what is it? What else can we do? What can we dig up on Justin? What has he not done? What does he not stand for? What has he done in his past?
Oh, they want to try to find the
listen,
negative.
It's all coming.
We're not listening to none of the negative.
It's all coming.
Because at the end of the day, the most negative that we have had is Sarno.
So you saying you're not worried about any of that, though?
I'm not worried about it. We'll walk right into
Teflon.
it. That's just the nature of the beast. I mean, I when you decide to run for a position like this, you got to understand that they're coming. I mean, this is their livelihood.
Yeah,
it's coming with it.
And not even livelihood from the standpoint, you're taking away
the
millions.
whole life.
You're taking away millions from a system that has been in place for the last 16 years. There's so many skeletons down at City Hall. They don't want me at City Hall because before we get there, we're opening City Hall up from the inside out. We're letting everybody see what's there. There's no way I would start to operate government until everything is audited. I know what's going on in City Hall.
Okay.
I know what's going on.
First-hand knowledge.
They don't want me in City Hall. And so in order for us to find out exactly what has been going on for the last 16 years, which I know, but I can't
16
prove,
years.
we got to get there. And that you
wait a minute, Justin, because, okay, hold on. Jesus, take the wheel. Sarno been in there for 16 years?
Been in there for 16 years.
Wait. Y'all had the same mayor for 16?
Same man for 16 years.
Is that how? Wait, so it's no like.
I didn't know it was that long. We had elections.
It's no like.
No term limits.
No term limits. Yeah, that's what I mean. No, it's no term limit.
Oh my goodness.
So wait, y'all had the same mayor
16 years,
for 16 years.
Stop it, end it, cut it, shut it down.
Oh, that nigga.
16 years, y'all. Just think about what you have gotten out of the 16 years. Just look at it like that, you guys. Like, out of these 16 years, what have you gotten out of the administration? What have you?
Oh, this about to be.
What has helped you in your life through this administration that you didn't do on your own? That you didn't do on your own? Like 16 years, Justin. I didn't know it was that long.
And like I said, I'm an outsider, so you know what I'm saying. I just hear you and feeling your energy right now. I'm like.
Wow.
But that guy was in there for 6.
I know
if I was holding something down for 16 years, like, he understand what I'm saying. If I was holding something down for 6, I'm going to make it very difficult. I'm saying for you to take this way. Like, I'm going to make it very difficult.
We got to connect the community,
very difficult.
And we're going to make it even more difficult.
I'm coming up with all kind of schemes, scams, pictures. I'm trying to whatever. I'm trying to. So I just hope. I hope you're ready. Yeah, I just hope you're ready because he's definitely gonna be in full effect with it. Because it's 16 years in, he's trying to.
Is here for you. Listen, you need us to come show up. We got Gina has all the equipment we need. We could pop up. We could do interviews. We could do like live coverage. Whatever you need to help you win this election. Count on a Little Messy podcast to help you. You already got our vote. We got a new citizen. Because I call him the photo shoot mayor. That's what I call him, y'all. Chels wants to know how he keep winning because he goes into the black community and he caps. That's how I look at it.
He won.
I'm using the young people's term.
He
be the captain for me. So, he goes out to our little events, try to make sure he's down with us. And try to, what I'm saying, take pictures with us and act like he really loves us. But if you're really a genuine person, it's all
so he like Joe Biden.
Sorry.
So he pretty much Biden.
Yes, pretty much. Because we wanted Donald Trump gone, so then we was like, damn, we'll just take.
Because remember when Biden said you ain't black if you don't vote for him? See what I'm saying? Like,
I voted for him.
That's Biden. Yo,
I just wanted Trump out of there. That was a big mistake, y'all. I don't know, y'all.
That really came out of his mouth. Like, that really came out.
That's what we all should have been like, you know what? We going to do Donald Trump. Y'all talk about we ain't black. You don't tell us
but y'all saying that's one of his strategies.
He stays in the community and does the bare, in my opinion, the bare minimum. That's how I feel.
You have to just look at the body of work.
Yes.
And then you also have to look at what it is that we could potentially have had over the course of those 16 years. And what it is we're bringing to the table.
And if you think about back in the day when Springfield was like so lit and popping, like I think about when I was a young girl and we had the taste of Springfield and we had like the Harambe and Springfield used to be so lit. Like
Worthington Street, right?
oh
Like you
my goodness.
like you can't have it both ways, right? Like you're gonna have a casino that either you're gonna be a 24-hour city, either you're gonna be a 24-hour city, or you're gonna be a city that closes at 11.
Yes.
Right? Like you can't have
It
the
can't
casino.
be both.
You can't have the casino that's open 24 hours and then you want to shut everything else down.
Justin!
Yo, you know what?
Oh my
Now that you say that, no, now that you
Wonder
say
why-
that, now that you say that,
It's crazy.
that is true. Like, why the fuck is that like that? Like,
that is so true.
cause listen, I was coming. My mom been living out here since 2015, so I was coming back and forth out here from New York. So I remember 2016 being downtown. It was before the casino.
Mhm.
You know, it was different. You know, a lot of people was outside summertime. Then the casino came. Nobody outside.
It's like you want a casino and then you want Northampton too. And like you can't.
No, Northampton, you know they close at 7, dog.
Hey, shout out to Northampton.
That's right. Like you
It's
gotta,
fun during the day.
You gotta make up your mind. Like, you know, you got a lot of young people, you got a lot of colleges, you got a lot of. I mean, I just don't understand why you're not taking all of that energy and bringing it, you know,
because
downtown
everything's
and
supposed to
livening
be
up.
still. Yo,
I
when
don't
that
get it.
casino's
That's
open,
true.
because the city is downtown supposed to still be lit.
Yes,
Like
that's facts.
Yeah,
Yep.
It's supposed to be lit
it's
up.
still
You
supposed
should
to
at
be
least be
lit
able to
up.
get something to eat after the club is out. Like, oh my
It's
gosh.
supposed to be lit up.
You can never get nothing to eat.
There-
Nobody
in
wants
the-
to go to McDonald's.
In New York, they're stopping. New York, Jay-Z and them trying to get a casino, and they're not trying to have that shit.
Yeah.
And they try to have it. They trying to get a casino in Manhattan.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Niggas is not
See,
having
I
that
always
shit.
thought the casino
No,
when the
because
casino
I'm a-
first came, I thought it was weird to have a casino in a residential area. I was like, the casino's usually out far, like in the woods somewhere. So I was
Nah,
like,
but
kind of like,
because they wanted
iffy
to
about
attract. They
that.
wanted to attract people to the. But like he said, the city be the other
You
other
have
stuff
to
be
have more
closing.
things to
Yeah,
attract
you know what I'm
people,
saying?
Yes.
Like,
right? But you also got to think about your own residents, right? You got to think about the people that are here.
that's
How
what
are
the
you
New
appealing
Yorkers
to
be
the people that are
on.
here?
yep.
And when you look at it, when the casino first opened, like after the first year, I remember I was talking to Mike Mathis, who ran the casino here in Springfield.
Mhm.
He was like, you know what? You know what the difference is with folks in Springfield? They like to drink. They don't like to gamble.
Mhm.
Like they
We
don't
sure
gamble
do.
as much. And
Yes.
so what I'm saying is that, you know, you need to be focusing on entertainment.
Mhm.
That in turn, you know, allows folks to, you know,
Right.
brings them to the
Yes.
downtown and they
Yep.
say, you know what, let me gamble $20, $30 responsibly.
Yes.
But if you don't have anybody coming downtown,
See
how in the world are you going to support the casino?
That's
See,
facts.
everything
They
you
just-
saying is the
Mhm.
same
and
reason
the
why.
food cuts down
in
in the
New-
casino too.
right.
The food is shut down too. At what time they shut
Yeah,
the
that's
food down?
crazy.
You be in the casino getting drunk, you can't even get nothing to eat afterwards.
See,
You know we like to drink.
Just
not eat
everything
after
you
we
saying,
drink.
everything you were saying is why the people is saying not to put the casino in New York. Man, everything you're saying
Really,
because
Joe?
they trying to put it in the theater district.
Yeah.
And the theater district, you know, you have your opera, you have your plays,
Mhm.
then you have your restaurants. They're all tied in together. So
Yeah.
you out seeing the show. What you gonna do? You gonna go to a restaurant, get something to eat, or either you go into a restaurant first, then you're going to see the show.
Yeah.
If you got a casino, the casino is built to keep everybody inside.
Mhm.
So if you have a casino, the restaurants are going to die around there because everybody's going to be inside, and you're going to have restaurants inside. You're going to have everything in there to keep everybody
Keep you
in there.
and
You know what I'm
keep
saying?
you
In there.
gambling.
So that's one of the reasons, the entertainment part of it. See, in New York, you got is a lot of other shit to do, and it's still lit outside. Even,
Yes.
but the
around
casino
here-
would kill that shit. Like a casino would kill that kind of vibe of like, because everybody's gonna want to be inside the casino trying to, you know what I mean? And you're gonna forget about the restaurants and the theaters. That's around. I don't say that's
outside,
around there.
yep.
Like, so it's
Yeah.
so what you're saying is
And
exactly
I
what
think
they're trying
your
to.
point, like, or at least the difference between the New Yorks and the Springfields is that they feel like that vibrant community. If you put a casino in
It's
the
gonna
center
kill it.
of the vibrant community, it's going to kill it.
It's gonna kill it.
I would argue we never had a vibrant community.
Yes.
So it was supposed to bring light. Yeah,
You You were supposed to bring that to vibration.
Yeah.
I mean, like, again, if you're gonna put this casino here, the stuff in the casino can't shut down at 9 o'clock.
No, for real.
That's crazy,
Justin,
beloved.
like,
That's crazy,
I
beloved.
don't know.
That's crazy,
But you
beloved.
got restaurants and stores that don't even open.
Yes.
It's so that's fine. But like, we also need to build around the casino and get folks another reason to go downtown. Everybody
besides the
doesn't wanna
casino.
gamble.
Yeah.
That's right.
And you only got one sports bar in there.
Because I don't
So,
gamble.
you now have sports betting, and so that
Nah, that
attract
sports
folks
bar
to
is
go
not
to
that
these.
good
Right.
in there.
But like, there's so much more. There ain't that. The casino was not that big.
Yep. And
It's
some people
not
just
that-
go down there just because
You want
after the
something
club
to
is
do.
over,
The
you're not ready to
ambiance.
go home.
It's the ambiance of it. I'll because I'm
Yeah.
not a gambler. I always just
neither.
go with my friends. Like, they gamble, like, but I
Yeah.
just go for the ambiance, like you said,
Mhm.
drinking. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, I'm at the bar, like,
Yup. Club over.
yeah,
You
like
ready to
that's
go home.
that's
Yup.
really it. Like, everybody
Yes.
doesn't want to gamble.
Which is
Yes.
fun, but
You
you
know
don't
what
even have the places to draw folks down.
Right.
Like, you don't have the clubs to draw folks down. Yeah, what do you have? 1, 2? I mean, I don't even go
It's
out.
just
anymore.
one. I
So-
haven't been to
so
it
yeah.
yet.
What club?
So
It's like a little what is it called? The Commonwealth or something? I haven't been
no,
there.
I mean in the casino. What
Yeah,
else do you
it's in
have
the
down?
casino.
What
Oh,
else
yeah, that's- oh,
outside
yeah,
the
that-
Commonwealth
yeah.
do you have downtown?
Right,
What other
right.
places do you have to get,
Yeah,
folks
yeah,
downtown
yeah.
first?
Red
Right?
Rose.
Where the restaurants certainly are not as
That's
playful
it.
as they could be.
Red
Yes.
Rose.
What other lounges? And I mean, you got
That's about it.
what's
The
Kenny's?
Dewey's?
You got Dewey's and
But you know,
You
their
know,
food is side. Ooh, hi. No bashing. Black community. Go ahead.
You know, my only point
Yes.
is that you need other things to draw people
Yes,
downtown
yes.
to in turn have them frequent the casino.
Yes,
and
that's
we just
true.
don't have it.
Yeah.
And we got a whole bunch of young folks, whole bunch of colleges
Yes,
that are
we
here,
do.
and we just haven't capitalized.
Yes, because one time we went
Yeah, y'all
down
do.
to the
Y'all
bar.
do.
They had the college.
Y'all do.
They were doing
Y'all
their
got hella.
the
yeah.
Y'all got
they
hella
was doing their
colleges.
little
Y'all got hella colleges around here.
We were
Y'all got hella
like-
colleges around here.
I mean, you got AIC, you have
Mhm.
Winning, you have
Springfield
Springfield
College.
But y'all nightlife ain't really.
You don't have any nightlife.
But
So what they
nightlife
gonna
used to
do?
be popular.
They're staying on the campus.
That's what like
Because they're
like
not gonna waste
like-
their time to come all the way
like
to Springfield.
NYU
Nothing's
like
going on.
NYU in New York is in the middle of the West Village. You feel what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
it's the experience. You know what I'm saying? It's no
Yeah.
it's you get the college experience out here, but then when it's nothing outside to do. Because
Yeah.
when I was in college, we like to go out to see the city, like the town where you know what I'm
Yes,
saying. Like we
yes.
like to go to
see
the
what
the
town
local
has to
clubs, the
offer.
local
Yep,
everything. You
yes.
know what I'm saying? Like here is like you.
Yeah,
It's like,
what it is.
yeah, it's kind of like the
That's
same
always
kind of.
like that.
It
I
wasn't.
remember
Oh my goodness.
like in the 2000s
we used to
or
come home 4, 5
know,
o'clock in
like-
the morning.
like,
Really?
you know, in the
Yes.
late 90s, early
Mhm.
2000s,
Yes.
like it was just different.
Did
It
the
was
pandemic-
it was
did the-
vibrant.
did the
Everybody
pandemic
was
change
out.
it?
Worthington Street
Yeah.
was lit up. Like
Yes.
there was just a lot there.
It's
It
it's
really
a
was.
it's a lot of
It's a mad
potential. It's a
club
lot of
over
potential.
there.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
potential
There's a lot of, and that's
in
what
here.
it is.
When
There's a lot of
I go down, I'm like, damn,
That's
they
why
could
I'm ready
really
for Justin to get
they
in
really
because a
could get
lot of
this
black
shit like popping if
businesses,
they
black
if they
clubs
was on
and
it.
stuff. They one little incident,
Yeah,
they
I mean,
close it down like nobody
know,
else has incidents.
I
But
was gonna say we're in an urban city, right? Let's light it up. Let's light it up.
yes,
Let's light it up and make it
Yes.
active.
yes,
Right.
Right? And
Right.
it doesn't, I mean, and listen, if you don't want what happens after 10 o'clock, then
go home
go
and lay down.
visit our multitude of restaurants.
Yes,
That
Other
will be
places
down
to
there,
be,
will
yeah,
wanna be
other
down and
places to
actually
be.
frequented
Yeah.
because
Right.
there are people going down
Yeah.
there. Be able to survive because there are people going down there,
Right.
and then go home,
yes,
Then
right?
go
Or
home, right.
go back, to wherever it is that you
that's
came
right.
from.
Right.
That's right.
But for those that want to frequent downtown after 10 o'clock,
yes,
you can't just let the casino have a monopoly on entertainment, right?
That's
Like
right.
that just is that's
That's
not
ex-
fair
That's
Yes.
exactly
to
what they
everybody
got.
else that
That's
wants
right.
to operate. Like
That's
that doesn't
right.
that to me just doesn't make sense.
Yes,
So that's
I
how
agree.
we set up.
I
You
totally
put
definitely got a
casino and
monopoly.
then squeeze everything else out.
right.
And
Yeah.
then ultimately what happens? Rents started
Yeah.
skyrocketing. All of the mom and pop shops of color, now there are no longer downtown.
Yeah.
So you look at the number
Except
of vacant
Red Rose.
storefront of color.
Right.
But
So they made sure they stayed down there. I don't know how they pulled that off.
Red
Oh,
Rose
they-
was
they-
gonna survive regardless. They
Bullets.
looked at the casino and said, "You're not going
That's
to buy
right.
my property because we know we have a
That was
brand
sticking,
name."
Yes.
Right? Like
Yes.
they knew they weren't going to.
Since I was a little girl.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Look,
all the other folks,
and I
You
ain't
new
been
to
here,
Red Rose. I know.
and I ain't been here long, and I'm
my
like,
friend be having him going
I'm
to
like,
Red Rose on a
yeah.
regular. I be like, girl, what y'all doing? We
I
going to
love
Red
Red
Rose.
Rose.
Like,
so much.
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm like, they ain't selling. I'm like, okay. But see that, but that's what kind of happened to the people with the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. They uprooted a lot of people from you know what I'm saying, from the arena. They ain't even had I don't really think they had a choice but to sell.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it was really like an onslaught of like, you're gonna leave here no matter regardless of if you want to sell. That's when Jay-Z was like the mascot. It was like, you know, getting that thing over Brooklyn. But a lot of people that was living in that area for like 20 plus years lost their homes and had to move, you know what I'm saying? So shout out to Red Rose is like, nah, fuck that. We ain't but to have that choice to be like, fuck that.
Yeah.
A lot of people in Brooklyn didn't have a choice to say fuck that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was out of their hands at that, you know what I'm saying, at some point, you know what I'm saying? Like so yeah, but like that casino, it's all right. Yeah. It's fun. Like it's fun to go to.
Small.
But like I said, like Springfield got a lot of potential to be especially, I mean, the interstate is right here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you got a lot of potential. Like you're not too far from New York. You're not Connecticut. Hartford, you know what I'm saying? No, like you really, you know what I'm saying, you're really in a good spot, really. You know what I'm saying? So the downtown should be way litter than it is.
Talk about
like,
Western Mass, like Springfield is it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? You're the third largest city
in Massachusetts.
Yo, y'all niggas invented basketball, man. What the fuck is going on? Yo, what is going on, man?
Like fish grease.
I got the Hall of Fame. Yo, y'all have the Hall of Fame here, though. NBA's Hall of Fame.
Right.
That's the only time it really get lit in the city. You know what I'm saying? It's at the Hall of Fame.
And then they go to party out in Mohegan Sun.
See? That's crazy.
But like, hi, thank you for having us. Gotta go.
But you know what though? You gotta want it to happen. And you gotta have a vision where it can happen. There's no way that, you know, we should have the tip-off classic in Mohegan Sun.
No,
there's
for
no
real.
reason, right? Like there's no reason why
there's really no reason, Justin.
You have the enshrinement ceremony here, and then everybody wants to get on the first plane smoking, right?
Oh my goodness.
Like what are we not doing?
There's no entertainment.
What are we not doing?
There's no entertainment.
Like, it just you have to want. You know, I believe that we can be that.
How you get them to stay?
I believe so too.
Yeah, you can't. Y'all
Especially
can't be
with
that
your
though.
Leadership and your ideals and your goals that you
Come
have.
on,
we
Mayor
definitely
elect,
can. We definitely
Come on,
can get
Mayor
it there.
elect, man.
I love it. I love it. It's about it really is about us.
Yes.
You know, one of the things that my other son taught me, and I'm gonna give this quick story and I'm gonna downsize the story. But it really is reflective of what it is this campaign is founded on, right? So my youngest son was playing over Martin Luther King weekend, and he was playing basketball. And so he had a game earlier that day, and he was like, we're getting ready to play at Springfield College. He was like, yeah. He was like, but we're playing this New Jersey team. He said, this New Jersey team, like they're nationally ranked. And I'm saying, like, why is he telling me that they're nationally ranked, right? Like, what are you preparing me for? And so I get to the game about 5 minutes late. They're about halfway through the first half, and I'm like, all right. I'm like, the score is 20-2. I'm like, it's only like you guys got a whole nother half left, and it's 20-2. Just finishing up the first half. And so needless to say, they got absolutely smoked. And this team was running through them, and they were the size of my son, who's a big sixth grader, and they was taking it up the court like nothing, going coast to coast. So I'm like, all right, the scorekeeper actually shut the score off and was like, we don't want it to reflect what it should be. So we get home, and I'm like, I'm listening to my son, and I'm like, we have our little debriefs. I'm like, son, what happened? He said Dad, they were all reclasses, right? So if you think about reclasses, he means that they had to stay back a year. So they were supposed to be in
a grade
seventh
higher,
grade,
yeah.
but they were in
Okay.
sixth grade. And I'm sitting here like, come on, Justin.
It's only one grade.
I started laughing. I was like, come on, man. You know you're fully, you know what? Like, come on, man. You know, so we saw it in my face, and he was like, nah. He's like, you know what, Dad? He said, I knew we were gonna lose based off of the fact that they didn't have any names on their jerseys. I was like, what you mean, son? What you mean? I don't understand. Before
I
you
know where
even
he
saw
going with it.
them play, like before you even saw them warm up, you knew that they were gonna lose based off of the fact that they didn't have any names on their jerseys. He said, yeah, Dad. Like they didn't have any names on their jerseys. I was like, son, just because they didn't have the name of their team on their jerseys or the name of the players on their jerseys, how did you know before you even saw them warm up that they were going to lose? He said, Pops, I knew because they had "we" over "me" on their jersey.
Right.
I said, I it was one of those times and one of those moments as a parent where I was just like, I gotta really process that.
Yeah.
Like you knew, like he plays on he's a good player.
Yeah.
And he plays on a good team. And before the team even stepped on the court,
He knew they was more together.
That they was getting ready to get smoked based off of "we"
because they was more
me.
together.
And I was like, yo, that's the foundation of this campaign. That's the foundation
we
of how
me.
we have it better in Springfield. And so, it's not about what Justin can do for the city of Springfield, right?
What we can.
It's like what can we do? And so if I'm not going into it like I got all of the answers. No. We have all of the answers, right? We are gonna demand change for the city.
That's a great story. That was a great story.
Like your shirt says, one city.
It's one city. It's not about one person, right? It's about the entire city. So, at the end of the day, the only way in which we're gonna move the city forward is we. And I just, it was crazy because right before that happened, my brother was like, we was putting out the education platform. I met at his house with a couple other scholars in the field, and we had gotten through it. I was like, all right. I was like, this is dope. This is gonna work, right? Like, let's do it. And he said, yeah, when you get to be mayor, I said, no,
it's we, my guy.
No, you got it all confused. We.
If I win, then we won.
Building, y'all.
I win. Yo, and your
our kids are always teaching
and your son might be a prophet.
These kids are always teaching us something. They're always putting us in our place, y'all.
He said that I knew he was going.
Oh my goodness.
I've had that feeling playing basketball from elementary to high school, junior college. I've had those moments where you looked at if you're on a team where because your team.
Yeah.
You know your team, but if you got some like bullshit going on, right? We not really all together. Then you see somebody coming there with "we" over "me," and we in here arguing about points and playing time. Like
we about to get
we about to get our ass.
No, for real. Play basketball, you would see certain teams come in and they be like instant. You be like, oh, I don't know, baby. I wish you more than luck, but it's not looking like a win.
But that togetherness made them.
That's what it was.
And your son saw that already before he even played. Like,
I didn't give him that level of credit, right?
Okay.
I was so at a loss by it.
Yeah.
And had to process it. I was like, huh? Like I was just taken aback because I'm like we've taught you to not be afraid of anything. Like nobody, like if you really want it, nobody's better than you.
That's right.
Like some hard work, you're gonna get there.
That's right.
And so for you to go into it, certainly not at this age. Like come on, boy.
He was
like
realistic though. He was realistic.
I was taken aback by the jerseys.
Yes. Oh,
They
my
didn't.
goodness.
So they had them. So your son team had their names on
They
their.
had the court. They had the
Wow.
name of the team on
See,
it.
That was all mental.
that was
He
that
got
is
it.
all
That was
They
a
mental.
little
would
mental.
I've been in teams where coach like do things like that. Where hey, no hats in the building.
Yeah.
We all wearing this together. We
Yeah.
all like you know what I'm saying. We all like so I've
To
been
get
on
in the opponent's
I-
head a little bit.
and but it's to build togetherness, some camaraderie. Like we're
Yeah.
all it's no one person over
Mhm,
this
mhm.
team. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yep.
and
And that's the point.
And
right
that's what
there.
I say. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't see yourself as part of Springfield, I don't care if you hustling on the block,
Yeah.
You
or
got-
if you own the bodega,
right.
or if you're a doggone department head for the city of Springfield, or if you're the brightest professor at the brightest school in the city of Springfield.
Right.
If you don't see yourself as part of this city
Yes.
and making a difference collectively,
Right.
and if you don't see the value in each and every person
Yes.
that is in this city, we ain't moving
Come
forward
on.
the way in which
Yes.
we need
Oh,
to.
Hey
my
yo,
goodness.
you got bars,
That
bro.
I
is-
mean,
You got
that
bars.
was literally
Those
a bar
bars
right
right
there.
there.
And
Like
on
now,
that
those
note,
are bars. Like, yo.
that was great. That was
Come on,
yeah,
man.
that was great. So
Listen,
before
I'm
we
not
end
even from the
show-
town, man. I'm voting, man.
I told y'all we biased. So before we end the show, Justin, because child, it's 8:43. We been getting it popping, y'all.
I'm about to say,
Oh.
I done left my kids. My son's calling me. You know, speaking of my son,
Justin, I'm gonna let you take us out. I'm gonna let you take us out. Tell the people what you want them to know. You got any Instagram or anything like that? Or
get out there at Hurst for Mayor.
Yes.
The number 4 at Hurst, the number 4 Mayor.
yes.
And the election is September 12th. That's the primary. And then the general election is November 7th. And so we have enough people in the race to have a primary. What folks need to know is that it narrows down to 2 people after the primary.
Two people, y'all.
The primary is just as important as the general election. And so we need to make sure that we get as many people as possible out to vote in the primary.
Yes.
We need to make sure that you sign up at Hurst for Mayor, the number 4 mayor.com. Go and volunteer, go and contribute. But to be honest with you, we need to make sure that you're involved. We need to make sure that you're a part of something special, because at the end of the day, it's about all of us. And in order for us to be prosperous, in order for Springfield to realize its potential, it's got to be we over me, which means everybody's got to have a stake in it.
Yes, that's right. Oh my goodness. So this was a great interview, y'all. We are definitely gonna have Justin come back. We're gonna have a little, we throwing it in the air, y'all. We already know who's gonna win. Y'all better make sure, because anybody that don't come out, I'm gonna fight y'all. Period. September is the time. Y'all need to come out, because y'all know we don't really be coming out in September. We always think it's November, but it's in September and November. So we need to make sure that we get Justin elected. We need to get him through the primaries, and we need to get him elected, y'all. So we need y'all to really be on board. Black, white, Puerto Rican, whoever, everybody needs to make sure y'all get out and vote for Justin, or y'all gonna have Mayor Sarno again. So take your choice. What you want to do? You want Justin or you want Sarno? Which one? Because it can't be both. So make sure y'all do the right thing.
Hey man, y'all
And
vote.
we're gonna end
Y'all
it on
vote.
that.
Yeah, y'all vote for Justin.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Charles, you want to say anything before we go?
Yeah, we just listen, man. I feel the energy in here. Like I said, I'm not from the town. Yo, I will vote for you, my guy. Yo, just off the conversation we just had, like, you know what I'm saying, the passion you spoke with, you know what I'm saying, we definitely need to get that. We definitely need to get Hurst in there for 16. For 16, you know what I'm saying? For 16
16
years.
is a little long. Listen,
That's a long
shout out to
tenure,
all
bro.
of our educators. You know, I appreciate the work that you all are doing.
I appreciate you, brother.
It's like we need you. We need
appreciate
you,
you, brother. We need, like you just said, is we need each other. We need everybody to be on the same page for the same goal, the same, you know what I mean, and to make things better for our people, for our community. You know what I'm saying? Because a better community in Springfield is a better community in the Bronx and in Newark, and you know what I'm saying? Like, we're all together in this shit. So I'm definitely rooting for you, brother.
Listen, appreciate y'all.
Thank you
Sincerely.
so much, guys. Have a good evening, everybody.
Ah.
Hold on, let me end Facebook, y'all.